that I started advising when I first graduated college, St. Joe's University back in the 90s. The people that I brought on as clients in my early days, a lot of them were, say, in their late 50s back then. Well, here we are 26 years later, still helping out those same folks, many of them. And now they're in their early 80s. And I've seen really firsthand what retirement looks like from a financial standpoint through all different market conditions. And I can tell you, without question, the people that stayed on top of their finances, that just, visited them every now and again, just regular conversations, even if it's every few months, checking in. Those folks have a far healthier financial disposition compared to the people that, put their finances on the back burner, let's say. And look, it's just a simple fact that some people feel really overwhelmed with their financial picture. People tell me all the time, I mean, Jim, I've got retirement accounts. I've got a 401k from my previous job. I've got an IRA. I've got one financial advisor helping me with that account, but that's all they're helping me with. And then my spouse has a pension with PCERS. I'm just giving examples here, of course, but, and then, people might have a deferred compensation plan with their current job, and then they have life insurance policies out there. And, and then people have questions about Social Security, trying to figure out the best time to begin collecting. And then people have a mortgage oftentimes, and they're hearing all sorts of different conflicting advice about what to do with the mortgage.
Right.
When's the best time to pay out the mortgage? Should I not pay it off at all? And then should I have a good rate? Maybe I should just let it ride. People have questions about that. And then you have financial advisors like myself who talk about the tax planning and the Roth planning, the Roth 401k planning, maybe even doing some Roth conversions. And then it makes people's heads spin sometimes because people hear all this and they say, well, I hear about it, but I don't know what the next steps should be. And I don't even know the first thing about doing a conversion. And then people say it makes sense because, I do believe the government's going to raise our taxes in the future because, Jim, you say it all the time. We have $35 trillion of debt here.
Yeah, we do.
Our national debt. So, well, we talk about these strategies out there that can help lower the amount of money that we are potentially taxed on. It's all about giving our government the least amount out of our savings, especially as tax brackets potentially go up. So people just don't know. They're unclear about what steps they should actually be taking. So sometimes they take no steps at all. And people, all the time they're telling me, if I do the Roth conversion, how much should I convert? When should I do these conversions? Should I wait until I retire? Should I do some littler conversions while we're still working? And look, these are not one size fits all types of answers. And I met plenty of people where a Roth conversion made absolutely no sense at all. So, there's no question about it. Managing all these different facets of our finances, it can get complicated, Chris.
Oh, certainly. And, it's something that people may be taking on for the first time because they've spent their career, their, 30 plus years doing whatever it is, really becoming, proficient in their craft when it comes to financial planning. Now making that retirement savings turn into a retirement plan, it can be tricky. But I want to remind people, Jim, you've been doing this for 26 years. This is your career. This is what you've been doing. And again, as you mentioned, helping people, not just retire, but stay retired. One of my favorite sayings, the best time to plant an oak tree 20 years ago, second best time right now. So yes, maybe people wanted to come see you 5 years ago, but there's no time like the present really to start taking charge of this.
Yeah. You gotta just take the bull by the horn and just, pick up where you are now, and you'll feel a whole lot better probably once you get the conversation flowing. Because look, here we are. We're in the fall of 2024. We are winding down this calendar year. This year has given us a lot to chew on. I mean, we've seen a massive boost in the stock market. So now people have these larger balances than they've ever had in their investment accounts. But that still doesn't mean we're not a little bit nervous about where the markets could go from here. I mean, anyone who's invested longer than 10 years, 20, 30 years, you already know that the market can giveth and the market can taketh away. And the markets, gave us so much back in like the 1990s. But think about it. People listening right now, they didn't have much money back in the 1990s. Now you do have a lot, and you have a lot to lose too. And the market was so good, in these past 10 years, 15 years. But then you got to look, back at history. I mean, the NASDAQ, when that thing started going down back in the early 2000s, I mean, it took something like 15 years just to break even again. Those tech stocks, and a lot of people have the tech stocks now. Most people in their 60s now would not want to wait that kind of time, 12, 15 or years or longer, just to break even again. Especially consider those folks are going to be making withdrawals from their retirement accounts once they are retired. And if the market is going down at the same time that you're making those withdrawals, then those bounces can really experience, it's just like a double negative, between the market loss and the withdrawals happening at the same time all at once. So really, preservation is key, especially if you have these nice bounces. And look, that's not to say I'm suggesting pulling all of your money out of the market. Far from it.
Yeah.
Far from it. But think about it. Isn't it smart to just begin protecting some of these, your life savings as the markets reach these super high levels? Mm-hmm. And look, I get it. We all want to maximize our investments and our retirements. And we also want to be giving the IRS the least amount of our savings when it comes to paying the least amount of tax that we legally need to pay, the minimum we're talking about. We all want to do it, and it's in our right to be able to do that. So that's why I have literally dedicated my whole career to helping people with doing just that. So what I'm going to do at this point in the show is I'm going to offer every single person listening right now the most important, the most powerful thing I can think of that I can help out with, which is to offer my assistance really in helping in personally building your very own completely comprehensive retirement, investment, and tax plan all in one. Okay. And in this plan, what I'm going to do, I'm going to teach you some techniques that you might not even know about that can help you and your spouse in potentially maximizing your Social Security benefits. Should we delay it? Should we take it sooner? Should one spouse delay and the other spouse take it sooner? I'll help you in getting some clarity on that once and for all. And if you're getting ready to retire, you might have, a million questions going on in the back of your mind.
Sure.
Maybe let's say you're being offered like a lump sum with your job, or you could take the monthly payments. Should I take the lump? Should I take the payments? Geez, I don't know. Well, look, a financial plan and these computers nowadays can really help us shed some light on this. A lot of people work for the city and maybe have money coming in from the drop program. What do I do with it? Should I just roll it over into the nationwide deferred comp? Should I do something different with it? Look, I can help you there. Give you ideas. Maybe you have an annuity, and you think it's kind of complicated. You get the statements and you're like, wait a minute, it's got all these numbers on it, all these balances. You're not sure what balance to look at. Maybe your current advisor isn't explaining it clearly enough. And look, I'm happy to help give you a second opinion on that annuity. Maybe you're being offered the Roth, the 401k Roth, let's say, within your retirement account at work, but you're just not sure. You're just not sure if it's something that it could benefit you or something, should I participate in it or not? Or maybe just hear people talking about the Roth and even people talking about these conversions, and you're again saying, geez, I don't know, maybe I should do it. Maybe I shouldn't. I just got to see the math behind it. Wouldn't it be just nice to have, a financial advisor like myself run these projections for you so you could see what your particular finances can look like in black and white and what your potential and tax savings could be? So what I think is, let's start taking some of the guesswork and some of the mystery out of this. I use an amazing financial planning software. It has a really strong emphasis on tax planning techniques.
Okay.
And some people listening might think, well, I had an analysis done with Vanguard or Fidelity or Empower, and I've seen them. And if you notice, there's one really important component missing to that plan that they're running, and that's the tax planning component. Mm-hmm. They're not teaching you how to prepare, in the event of taxes going up in the future. They're not running these simulations showing how much you could potentially be saving in taxes by converting some into Roth. They're certainly not showing you how to strategize on how you're going to get this money back out of these retirement accounts and how you can maximize the amount going to your kids and grandkids in the most tax efficient way, potentially. And that's how I have been differentiating myself, not only to, as someone that can guide you on your investments. We all can do that. I can do that. But it also in helping people find ways to get the most out of what they have. We want to be giving the IRS the absolute least amount from our savings. So if these types of topics are important to you, and if you've saved at least $250,000 towards your retirement, I want you to grab your phone right now, because I'm going to be offering, I'm only going to do this for the next 5 people that call the phone number that I'm about to give. And I need you to be between the age of 50 and 75. And I need you to have at least $250,000, not including your real estate. And for the next 5 people that call into the show, I'm going to do it for you. I'm going to build you your very own completely comprehensive financial plan. I'm going to address all of these items that I just mentioned over the past couple of minutes. And we could do this so conveniently, either on a Zoom meeting or in person on at my Radnor, Pennsylvania office. And it all starts out, we could do a lot of it over the phone as well. But the number to call right now is 610-894-7415. Again, 610-894-7415. First 5 callers are getting this. And look, we need to get this rolling, really from a timing standpoint, especially on the tax planning side of things. Look, 2024 is rapidly slipping by. I mean, look where we are already. I mean, we only have a little bit of time to left before the calendar year closes. We want to be taking it. This is the second to last year of these Trump tax discounts. And I'm not going to be offering these complimentary consultations on the tax planning as we get towards like November or December. It's just cutting it too close for me. So the time is right now. So grab your phone, take me up on this offer. It can't hurt to see what I have to say or suggest. You can do whatever you like afterwards. But, I even like teaching the people that have been doing it yourself, the career do-it-yourselfers. People say, Jim, geez, you taught me some new stuff. And I love hearing that occasionally. So, and for those people that are not do-it-yourselfers, people that are just confused and maybe like a deer in headlights with stuff like this, when it comes to finances, look, now is your chance to have an accredited investment fiduciary like myself take the lead, just kind of guide you. Just want to make sure you're not missing out on something really important. So here's the number one last time. Complimentary financial plan built by me personally. Next 5 callers are going to get it. The number to call now, 610-894-7415, Chris.
The best time to plant an oak tree, or in this case, develop a financial strategy, it was 20 years ago. Second best time, honestly, the best time, because you don't have a time machine, is right now. Take Jim up on this. Let him put his 26 years of experience to work for you. Completely complimentary. 610-894-7415. You can always find him online, retirereadyfg.com. I want to thank you, as we always do, for joining us here on Freedom to Retire with Jim Cipriotti, powered by the Retire Ready Financial Group. Hope you have a great week ahead of you. Hope you stay safe out there. Fall weather, it's right around the corner. I can feel it. Jim, appreciate you taking time as always. And as we wrap up here, I want to leave you with the final word.
Of course, Chris. Great sleeping weather. Also great tax planning weather. We want to get these going before the end of the year closes in. Hope everyone is enjoying the changing colors of the leaves here, and hope everyone just has a great week ahead, and I'm looking forward to next time.
If you have questions or concerns about reaching your retirement goals, then give Retire Ready Financial Group a call, 610-894-7415, or visit online at retirereadyfg.com.
Investment advice offered through Retire Ready Wealth Management, Pennsylvania Registered Investment Advisor, able to provide investment advice in states where it is registered, exempt, or excluded from registration. Content contained herein should not be construed as an offer or solicitation for investment advice or for the purchase or sale of any security, insurance, or other investment product. Investments involve the risk of loss, including possible loss of principal. Please consult with a qualified financial, tax, accounting, or legal professional before implementing any ideas or strategies discussed here. Content provided is obtained from sources believed to be reliable but cannot be guaranteed as to its accuracy or completeness.
This program is paid for by Retire Ready Financial Group. All opinions or statements expressed on the program are solely those of Retire Ready Financial Group or their guests and do not reflect the views of WPHT or Odyssey. Today's program is pre-recorded.
1210 WPHT. I'm Walter M. Sterling. Every damn night, running away from the horrors of the day to the comfort and quiet and solitude of being an introvert late at night in Philadelphia. How do we do that? With strippers?
How's a pretty redneck girl supposed to make a living? Or a college girl? Stripping.
Walmart news, detailed weather information, everything to head into the third shift. Every damn night, Sterling.
If you or someone you know suffered any injuries involving a deployed airbag, you could be entitled to compensation. Morgan & Morgan has already recovered millions. Get America's largest injury law firm fighting for you.
Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Be first in line to secure a 2025 Phillies season ticket package before the public on sale with a deposit. Get benefits such as price savings, great seat locations, and more. Reserve yours at phillies.com/season deposits. All season long, you've shown the world why you're the best fans in baseball. Thanks for bringing the energy, but the fun has only just begun. Keep up to date with all things Red October throughout the postseason on phillies.com.
Hi, this is Dom Giordano for my friend, dentist and board-certified prosthodontist Dr. Robert Bentz and the Bentz Dental Group. His state-of-the-art facility makes your dentistry as easy as can be. Recently, they had a permanent tooth put in. And you know how it is. In the past, you bite down, it's too high. It's always too high. The back and forth getting it just right. Well, not this time. With Dr. Bentz, it fit perfectly the first time. Call the Bentz Dental Group now, 610-272-6949. Visit BentzDentalGroup.com, 610-272-6949.
This is Larry Steinitz with Investor Schooling. You may know me from my book, Money Hacks. You may know me from my radio shows, and you may even know me from some of these commercials. But listen, I'm teaching stuff that people need to learn about money. In fact, my favorite topic is money. So go to investorschooling.com and you will learn things about money that you never even knew existed. We will teach you things about real estate, about the stock market, and about how to use your IRAs properly. Go to investorschooling.com and sign up for a complimentary class this Thursday night at 7 o'clock. That's investorschooling.com. This is Larry Steinitz with Investor Schooling. Are you tired of hearing about the recession that's coming? Are you prepared for it? Well, listen, at investorschooling.com, we're going to teach you ways to prepare for the recession that you didn't even know existed. We're going to teach you strategies on how to use real estate. We're going to teach you strategies how to use the stock market properly. That's right, you can even make money in the stock market when the stock market goes down. Hey, go to investorschooling.com and register for a free class this Thursday night, and you will learn all of these techniques. Go to investorschooling.com right now, RSVP for this Thursday. We'll see you there.
WPHT, WPHT-HD, WOGL HD3 Philadelphia. From the Cherry Hill Volvo Studios, where relationships matter. Always live on the free Odyssey app. Live and local with Matt Rooney. On Talk Radio 1210, WPHT.
36 days left to go, boys and girls. 36 days to save the Republic. Hope you're working hard. I know I am, and we will work awfully hard over the next 3 hours of tonight's Matt Rooney Show. I have a sense of urgency, and I hope you do too as September winds down, October dawns. And we're not just talking about the MLB offseason, right? We're talking about prime season for politics when Americans head to the polls, put their ballots in the drop box, say their prayer for their nation. That's what your vote is, your prayer for the future of your country. And that process is underway all across the country right now, including right here in the Delaware Valley, where let's forget about the election for a second. That's part of it. And even just the fate of our country. Western civilization is on the line in just 36 days. No pressure. But greetings. Welcome back to another edition of our little program, the little show that continues to grow by leaps and bounds every single week. I am the aforementioned Matt Rooney, honored, pleasured, privileged, all the things, as the Gen Zers would say, to be with you this evening, and joined by producer Justin, as always, who's just happy to be here, period. I can't hear you, Justin. Probably for the best, because you're still sucking wind. The poor guy barely got here tonight. And he was so nervous. But it worked out because the Phillies went late, so we got started late anyway. So it was fine. And I want to say a special thank you to all of you that have been waiting patiently over the course of the past 20 minutes, including those of you over on the YouTube page, youtube.com/@1210WPHT, where you can watch the program to confirm that I am indeed as handsome as I sound, in addition to listening to it. It's a nice little thing we do here at the station. And we also have a chat where you can participate. It gets nice and salty from time to time. Hello, Suze Loves Jeffy, Tony, Mango Mush, Big Stinky Cheese. That's a heck of a name for you. Big Stinky Cheese. I like that one. Mike Drop. All the usual rascals and retrobates are there are there this evening, and we're happy you're here because this is a big show. Not just because of the whole we're a little over a month away from election 2024 thing, and we finally decide who wins the future, because that's what this is about. We've also got an amazing program for you this evening, right now. We'll be joined in hour number 2 of tonight's program by the one, the only Scott Presler, the man who is single-handedly, some say, helping turn Pennsylvania red. He's out there day in, day out. You can track him on social media if you haven't actually met him at an event. I know you've heard him on other 1210 programming, registering every single person he can as a Republican voter as we march closer and closer to Decision Day. You got to remember, if you've forgotten, when the dust settled and they tallied the votes, we'll assume for a second that everything was kosher. Okay, because 3 hours sounds like a lot of time, but you know if you listen every week, it goes awfully fast. So we'll assume for a second that the count was valid. 88,000 votes. That's what Joe Biden carried PA by last time around in 2020, and that's a infinitesimal percentage relative to how many people participated, how many ballots were counted. Scott Presler, the work that his organization is doing, has helped change the registration advantage in some key Pennsylvania counties, including Bucks right here in our listening region. Now it's majority Republican in terms of registration versus Democrats. So it's a big deal. And if Donald Trump wins Pennsylvania and he does it by a hair, Scott may very well be one of the people we have to thank, maybe one of the number one people we have to thank. So he joins us at about 8 o'clock this evening. And then, not to be outdone, because we like to close strong around here, Kamala Harris does not look like she's closing strong. We're going to talk plenty about that this evening. In our final hour, we're going to be joined for the second time this season by Mark Mitchell. You may not immediately recognize the name, but you know what he's the head pollster for, Rasmussen, one of the only reliable pollsters left out there in the country. He joined us maybe about a month ago now, Justin, I think. I don't know if you got your mic working.
I think it was about a month ago.
About a month ago, and we had a great talk about the state of the race. We had just emerged from August when we had a month of just nonstop Kamala Harris propagandizing from the mainstream guys in the establishment in an effort to try to handicap Trump heading into the fall. Didn't work, right? But Mark joined us at the time to demystify some of what's happening out there with the numbers, and he promised to come back once Rasmussen released some of its battleground polling. And we now have battleground polling from Rasmussen. And spoiler alert, it does not match up with what Bloomberg and Morning Call and NBC and the other establishment outfits that are trying to depress you. It does not match up with the narrative that they've attempted to paint with their polling. And I warned you. So you can't sit here tonight and complain that, oh, you know, Matt, I see what you're saying now. But no, I told you explicitly, you cannot trust the same outlets that we complain about justly day in, day out, outside of election cycles, for attempting to manipulate the news, manipulate us, manipulate data. They lied about the pandemic. They've lied about election 2020. They've lied about every single major occurrence that's happened in our world in between, because they're not interested in giving us the truth. They're interested in convincing people by hook or by crook to support the leftist agenda. So why would their polling be the one thing that you could trust that would be honest? I mean, case in point, ABC polling, you just saw them rig a debate. Why would you then take their survey results seriously? And I get it. We're if you're a conservative, you're a little bit fatalistic because we're so used to having the rug pulled out from under us, right? We're Charlie Brown and the establishment is Lucy holding the football, right? They pull the football away, we fall right on our keister. So I get it. I get your dark moods and your dark attitudes. I have them sometimes too, but I warned you that it wasn't real. And now what have you seen just in the last week since the last time we were on? All of a sudden, these surveys, inexplicably, because nothing has happened in the past week or two to really benefit Donald Trump objectively, right? Other than just the passage of time. All of a sudden, some of these polls that were showing Kamala Harris on the march, she's surging, are now back to a tie. Well, why do you think that is? Because they now need to adjust so that they can rightly say if he wins, which they now think is more likely than not, even though they're not saying it, they're not admitting it on the Sunday shows or on their X feeds. They need to be able to say, oh, well, yeah, he won by 3 points and we had it a tie, so it was a jump ball. It was within the margin of error. And they'll concoct some kind of cockamamie reason why the result turned out the way that it did. But those of us, myself and you included, because you're intelligent as proven by the fact that you watch this show and you listen to this program and you're a fan of this station, we knew this is what was going to happen. So, kind of giving you a little bit of a preview for tonight, not just our guests. Mark, by the way, Mark Mitchell from Rasmussen will join us probably about 9:15 if you're interested in the schedule. I'm not saying any of this to lull you into a false sense of security. That's not my intention. This is still a close race, and you need to wake up every single day between now and Election Day, the day where we count, right? With a sense of urgency I talked about at the top of tonight's program. You need to talk to as many people as you can. You need to convince as many of your Republican friends as possible to vote. You need to speak to those in your family and in your friend circles who know that something's wrong. They know something is rotten in the state of Denmark. They're upset about the fact that they need to decide between taking that little family vacation, right, and being able to afford tuition for their kids or being able to have the kind of Christmas that they want, commensurate with how hard they work, right? They know that something's not right in this country. It's the one thing I agree with Kamala Harris on. She has said repeatedly on the stump that the American dream is slipping away. The part that she leaves out is it's largely the fault of her and Joe Biden and her party. They're the ones that are snuffing out the American dream. But you need to reach out to these people and you need to tell them that, listen, what makes this election different. It's not just the stakes. I've accurately conveyed the stakes to you. Western civilization is on the line. It's on the line this year. But the choice we have between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris, that's not a fake choice, a false choice of the kind that we've suffered so many times in the past. I've talked on this program about, for example, back in 2004, I don't even think Justin was born yet. He wasn't a twinkle in his parents' eyes. In 2004,
how old was I in 2004?
You know,
I can't do the math. I am bad. I might have a college degree, but I am terrible at math. I was born in 1998. So.
Well, you were a kid.
I was a kid. I was just starting school. I think I was in kindergarten.
You were a kindergartner back then, and it was that long ago, right? That I was walking around streets of Ohio. I was in Cuyahoga County, Ohio, knocking doors for George W. Bush and Dick Cheney. That's an election where at the time I thought that I was on the side of truth and justice. And in a sense, when you consider the alternative, John Kerry and John Edwards, God has rarely created two bigger liars, right? Those guys, they wouldn't know the truth if it, smacked into them why John was windsailing, right? But ultimately, what happened, right? We elected those two guys, and then they disappointed us because at the end of the day, the Bushes, the Cheneys, they're all establishment creatures. They're establishment creatures. What they fundamentally believe in is themselves and this power elite that has misgoverned our country for decades now. They fancy themselves the heirs of the founding fathers, that they're protecting our great institutions. What they really are is they are the lesser heirs of much greater men. And the proof is in the pudding with all of the trials and tribulations that our country is currently going through. That's an election that didn't matter as much as it should have, even though I traipsed all over some Midwestern states trying to help the Bush-Cheney ticket. We've had other elections since then. Mitt Romney, John McCain. These are guys that said that they would be different, but they weren't. And I think the American people kind of knew that, right? They didn't pass the smell test. That's why Mitt Romney wasn't able to get over the finish line. He should have been able to beat Barack Obama in 2012. He didn't because, again, some of our friends and family didn't think that there was a real difference to be won if they showed up and they voted. This is not that. This is not that. Donald Trump is different. He is not perfect. There are things that I don't agree with Donald Trump on, right? He's made me want to put my own head through a wall sometimes with some of the things he said or even some of the things he's advocated for. But I'll tell you what, much like Lincoln said of General Grant during the Civil War, when General Grant was being criticized for the way that he was leading the Army of the Republic, right? The Grand Army of the Republic. Abraham Lincoln said, I can't spare this man, he fights. And he shut him down because he knew that Grant was one of the only people in the country at the time that knew, like he did, what it would take to win that war and preserve the Union. We find ourselves, interestingly, in kind of a similar kind of scenario today, right? This country is coming apart at the seams, and Donald Trump is one of the only men currently in this political game that understands the stakes, understands that it's us versus them, the people versus this shadowy, well, not really shadowy anymore, right? They're stepping out of the shadows. Deep state power elite that thinks that they have a right to rule and we exist to serve them. Donald Trump doesn't think that. He doesn't believe that. And the reason why they are trying to throw him in jail, the reason they are trying to destroy his family's business empire, the reason why, and the evidence is mounting, someone out there is trying to kill him, and I'm not sure it's just Iran, is because they know that he is a threat to the people that are holding back the American people. They know he's on our side. They know that they can trust him when he says that he is here to disrupt the established order. You picking up what I'm putting down here? This election matters. So that's what you need to do every single second of every single day. It's what we do here at 1210 WPHT. So for us, Justin, it's stay the course. We're just going to keep putting out the great product that we already do. And tonight, I promise you, is going to be absolutely no exception. By the way, 855-839-1210 is the number here at the station, even though I'm notoriously terrible with working the calls. That's partly because I get distracted with my Rooney rants. Justin is very busy in there. It's got to be good. You got to make it good. One thing I will say, whether you're calling in or whether you're participating over on the YouTube page, one more time, youtube.com/@1210WPHT. If you have any questions for Mark Mitchell, who's the head pollster at Rasmussen, or for Scott Presler, who joins us in about 23 minutes, let's hear him. Either call in or put him over in the chat. There's plenty to ask Scott about. Actually, the most interesting question I've gotten in advance of tonight, Justin, someone really wants to know how tall he is.
I've heard the tall tales that he is a very large man.
He's a very large man, and I've never been in the same room as him, but just attempting to judge it by looking at the pictures where he's standing next to people I know. I mean, clearly it's well over 6 foot.
Yeah, he's the phantom. You can't see him in person, but from the pictures that have taken of him, he is quite tall.
He is. He is, and which means that if you've seen his latest photos, how long his hair is getting, if he's, 6'5", he has 3 feet of hair. That's a lot of hair.
He's got the Pat Tillman build, the long flowing locks, tall as can be.
But it's good. It makes him, the fact that he is so distinctive looking makes him a great mascot for the cause that he is spearheading here in Pennsylvania. I mean, look, you're talking to a New Jersey Republican. I know this is going to hurt some of you and also surprise you. The Republican parties in these states have not always done the job that they should have done, particularly in this arena, which is growing the party. I have found so many times in my life, Justin, I would think you'd probably agree with this, right? But I don't want to put words in your mouth. So much of politics is simply reaching out to people that no one's ever attempted to reach before. Saying, hey, listen, I would like to have your vote. I'd like to earn your vote. What's on your mind? Or, hey, why don't you come and join us as part of this movement? We're not going to tell you what to think. We're going to tell you what we believe, and maybe we can do some good stuff together. It's really that simple. And back when I was a slightly younger, less graying Matt Rooney, I used to help run some local campaigns, and I remember, especially in those local races where you could get to a lot of the doors in your community and have these conversations. Sometimes people would, when they answered the door and spoke to the candidate, even if they weren't of the same political persuasion, they would say, wow, this is awesome. Nobody's actually ever come to my door and asked me what I believed and what I thought. That's what Scott Presler's doing, and I think it's amazing, right? And some of the people that hate on him, I see some of that out there. The reason why is because they wish that they had thought of it first, or he's embarrassing them because he's doing the job that they should have been doing. We all know how that goes. So again, 855-839-1210 is the number. Make sure you stay tuned for all of tonight's program. Another 2 hours and 20-ish minutes left to go. I guess let's take a break to play some ads and make some money because it's that time of year, right? And the holidays are right around the corner, so we have to make some cash. And I got to pay Justin's exorbitant salary. He ain't cheap.
I wish.
Well, that's why we got it. That's why I got to shut up and we got to play some ads, right? All right, so let's play some ads. Let's make some money, and then we'll be right back to keep the Matt Rooney Show trucking down the highway here in just a second.
When you need to know, depend on KYW News Radio 103.9 FM.
Thousands gather on the Parkway for Philadelphia's annual Puerto Rico Day Parade. Resources from more than 20 states are coming to the aid of Helene-ravaged states like North Carolina. And the Eagles lose in Tampa Bay against the Buccaneers 33-16.
Get the latest anytime on KYW News Radio. Now on Crystal Clear 103.9 FM.
You've never needed us more.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. If you own a timeshare, don't miss this public service announcement from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. If you really want out of your timeshare, hang the phone up immediately or throw that mail piece in the trash and contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance with your timeshare. As the only Inc. 500 timeshare cancellation company, our knowledge, experience, and results has made Wesley a trusted resource for over 40,000 families we've helped get out of their timeshare. Give us a call, and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about your timeshare and all of your options for cancellation.
Call for your free info kit, 800-329-2121. 800-329-2121. 800-329-2121.
Philo's got a world of entertainment for you to explore with just one subscription. Sign up today and start watching all the networks you love, like A&E, MTV, Discovery, VH1, TLC, Lifetime, Hallmark Channel, and so much more. Featuring current seasons of all the best drama, true crime, reality, and family-friendly shows you can't afford to miss. And with up to 3 streams at once, you'll never have to fight about what to watch. Get started today and unlock our library of over 75,000 movies and shows, and save all your favorites with the unlimited DVR, so you can rewatch them anytime, anywhere, for up to a year. Philo now includes access to AMC+. You can discover your next obsession from its collection of hit originals like Mad Men, The Walking Dead, Killing Eve, Orphan Black, and tons of blockbuster movies. There are no contracts, no commitments, and no hassles. For just $28 a month, Philo's a better way to watch TV. So what are you waiting for? Visit philo.tv and sign up today to start your 7-day free trial. That's philo.tv.
At PGW, safety is essential to delivering clean, reliable natural gas to Philadelphia homes and businesses. If you smell gas, call PGW at 215-235-1212.
Most of us don't fit in the clothes we wore 30 years ago. And financial advice from 30 years ago doesn't fit either. Tune in to the Retirement Spectrum with Alan Cohen. Saturdays at 3 on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
Free speech lives here. With Rich Zioli weekday afternoons 3 till 7 on Odyssey's #1 talk station, 1210 WPHT.
Lots of I told you so tonight. And I would be lying if I didn't say that I was enjoying some of it, folks. Matt Rooney here on the Matt Rooney Show. 855-839-1210. Over on YouTube, youtube.com/@1210WPHT. Look, if you go over to the Real Clear Politics average, which if you're like me, I refresh it 16 times a day, right? I check it like some people check their football fantasy scores. I used to do a lot of football fantasy. I was in maybe 3 leagues at a time. Then I had children and my weekends changed. I have trouble keeping track now to the point where it's no longer fun because I can't win. Not that I used to be the bridesmaid perennially, Justin, never the bride. When I played fantasy football, I was always the runner-up.
I had like a 3-year winning streak, and then after that, I just said, I'm not getting better than this. It's all going to be downhill from here as I'm getting older. I'm just calling it.
Get out while the getting's good. I agree with that. But I check Real Clear Politics all the time, and look, it still shows, if you navigate over there tonight, that Kamala Harris has a 2-point lead, which is well below where Hill Dog and Joe Biden were in this same point in the respective cycles in which they were the Democrat nominee. But if you start to look at the surveys that are included, if you discount some of the ones like Morning Consult that are always wrong, this is a very close to even race nationally, which, because of these big populous blue states like New York and California, we know that Donald Trump is probably ahead in the Electoral College. And we're starting to see what you can always reliably count on in cycles where the Republican is winning down the home stretch. You're beginning to see these stories and these little dribs and drabs and drips of Democrat anxiety that's beginning to surface in the media. And I'll give you a couple examples, right? It's the Democrat stages of grief, although they go through it a little differently than normal people like you and I. There was an article published just in the past few days over a Politico, a very far left publication. Kamala Harris's Pennsylvania problem. And the catch quote here is, Joe Biden's local ties and cultural roots kept him competitive in culturally conservative northeastern Pennsylvania. Harris's prospects in the heavily Catholic working class region there are dicier. Now, who are they blaming? You have to scroll down a little bit further in the article if you want to get to that. As Democrats battle for the state with Kamala Harris as the nominee, their chances of winning in the region or performing well enough there to carry the state are looking considerably dicier. It's not just the loss of Biden, an older, white, Catholic man with an affinity for the working class, from the top of the ticket that worries local Democrats. It's the cultural dissonance with Harris, a Californian and a woman of color, who has spearheaded the party's post-Dobbs abortion messaging. So as you continue to digest, if you can keep it down, it's hard not to throw it up, Politico article, it's obvious what's happening here, right? They know that she's losing Pennsylvania, which I happen to believe. I think she's behind in Pennsylvania, not by a landslide margin, but by a significant margin. And they're going to blame white people for it. They're going to blame white voters, specifically white men. So in order to explain what's coming, they have to begin to establish the appropriate narrative. They can't blame Harris, at least at this point, right? They're not going to blame themselves. Whoever does that. It's a rare person or entity that is self-possessed and honorable enough and introspective enough to be able to look into themselves and find fault, especially when we're talking about something this momentous. So they're going to blame racist white people. And then I found another fun article over at Newsweek, and you could put this in the duh category. Newsweek has this gripping expose. How hot girls became the right's new obsession. That's right. Newsweek wants to do a deep dive into why Republicans like attractive people. Because, for years, whether it's politics or anything else, marketing agencies and people that are trying to sell something have been using ugly people to try to get customers and consumers and clients in the door. Right? I mean, I'm only here because I'm gorgeous. Justin and I were talking about this off air. This is not news to anyone.
when you told me it, I was like, I was confused. It didn't make sense to me. Like, why is this something that we need to spend? Like, somebody is getting paid to just write absolutely nothing about something that's so obvious.
Yeah.
Are they that far? Like, are they that removed from material to write? I mean, it's not like we have an election in less than 40 days. There's something. You just got to make a puff piece about Republicans like attractive people.
As I said, this is their process that they go through. This is their grieving cycle. They have to allege racism, and that's already started. All of you white racists out there in Pennsylvania, right? Even though we have polling, and we'll get to this tonight, that suggests that part of the reason that Donald Trump is probably winning the Electoral College right now is he is posting gangbusters numbers right now with Hispanic and black voters, which Republicans have not seen since Richard Nixon. Okay? It's a revolutionary moment in American politics if these polls, and almost all of them suggest it, ultimately end up being proven right. But they have to blame white people. Now they're going to blame you piggy males out there on the right. How dare you like attractive women? We can't help it, by the way, if most of the attractive women are on the right. That's not our fault.
Really makes you think, doesn't it? Really just kind of, it's crazy that attractive people tend to lean more right wing.
I have a theory about this, but it's going to upset some people. Not to go too far afield, because it's not really what we're talking about. Obviously, there are exceptions, right, to the rule. But I think oftentimes when you see that extremely overweight, angry Democrat female with 3 different types of non-natural hair color and rings in places that in a different place in time you would have only seen on a bull, not on a human being, right? Maybe a pirate, right? You look at that person, and I don't feel any malice towards them, but you start to say to yourself, well, maybe there's a reason why you're angry at the world. And who does the Democrat Party cater to? People that want to be victims because they're not happy with their circumstances. But unlike conservatives and libertarians and other people on the right, you MAGA heads out there, right? We all believe what unites us is that we primarily are the ones responsible and able to change our own condition. That's not what the left believes. They're kind of political Calvinists, right? You're predestined if you're a certain color or born in a certain set of circumstances, right, to be taken advantage of by the white patriarchy, and there's nothing you can do about it other than vote for Democrats, who won't actually make your life any better, but it's like a big group therapy session.
Yeah, they'll just say they will, just to get the fee, just to make your fee-fees feel better.
That's right. But there's evidence this cycle that it doesn't look like it's working. But now we have even some exceptionally hard evidence, and I think I sent you this clip, Justin, while you were struggling to get here this evening. This is a good one, okay? So this is the Michigan Democrat Senate nominee, Alyssa Slotkin, okay, who was participating in a Zoom. Candidates do these Zooms this time of year with supporters and donors or whatever else. And I guess she said the quiet part out loud. I have a feeling she was not supposed to share this with a wide audience. She conceded that their internal polling in Michigan shows Kamala Harris running behind. Listen to this.
I'm not feeling my best right now about where we are on Kamala Harris in a place like Michigan right now. We have her underwater in our polling.
Underwater in our polling. Now, that's not a Republican campaign. That's not Mark Mitchell from Rasmussen, who's going to join us later tonight. This is a Democrat Senate nominee in a battleground state telling people her campaign has Kamala Harris behind. In Michigan. Now, Trump won Michigan in 2016, lost it in 2020. Until Trump won Michigan in 2016, the last Republican carrier of that state, I believe, was George Hubert Walker Bush. Bush the elder, Bush the first. The polling tonight has Harris ahead by only about 1.5 points. What do you believe? Do you believe the RCP average, which includes garbage pollsters like USA Today and Quinnipiac? Or do you believe what the campaigns are clearly reacting to? When we were here, and I started out this rant by telling you there's going to be a lot of I told you so tonight, When we were here 3 weeks ago after that debate, and so many of you were about ready to jump out the window because, Trump lost. You know, he got angry. He let her get under his skin. Everybody's saying that Kamala Harris won. It's over. We're doomed. I told you, listen, maybe he is doomed. I don't know. But people out there that consume these things don't grade them the same way the pundits do, the talking heads do. And did the apocalypse happen? No. And the clearest sign that I told you at the time that Trump really did not, quote unquote, lose that debate is that Kamala Harris wants more of them. If she had delivered a knockout blow to the Orange Man and she was comfortably ahead heading out of this thing, she'd be sitting back on her pile of cash and allowing her monetary advantage to carry her to victory in November. She's not doing that. Why? Because, children, she needs more opportunities to try to change the dynamic of the race. Which means what? The dynamic of the race currently does not favor her. And there's plenty of reason to think that what I'm saying is just not a Trump supporter being optimistic. We now have even Quinnipiac. I mentioned them a minute ago. Right? I'm a more reliable pollster than Quinnipiac, and I've never actually done a poll. That's how wrong they are. They have it now as a tie nationally. If Quinnipiac has Donald Trump tied nationally, he might be on track to win. And then you have Atlas Intel, the most reliable, accurate pollster of 2020, that cycle. They have Donald Trump up 3 nationally. If Donald Trump wins by 3 nationally, he's not only won Pennsylvania, but hey, we might have a late night New Jersey, my home state, which nothing would tickle me more than to see Phil Murphy nervously noshing on an apple with those ugly chompers of his, sweating it out to see whether or not he has to explain why he let the Garden State slip away for the first time this century to a Republican. I'm not here ready to predict that Donald Trump's going to win New Jersey. What I am saying is that you need to, over the course of the next few weeks, continue to work hard, continue to push, continue to do everything you can to spread the gospel, right? But at the same time, you got to learn as part of that process to shut out the other stuff that you know is not there to inform you. It's there to try to depress you. Some of these polling outfits, they are suppression outfits, voter suppression outlets. We talk about voter suppression. Election 2020, when all of these polls overestimated the margin of Joe Biden dramatically, they did that on purpose because they didn't want you to vote. Don't let them do that to you this time. And if you don't believe me, we're going to talk to Scott Presler about it in just a few minutes here on the Matt Rooney Show. 855-839-1210 is the number over on YouTube, youtube.com/@1210WPHT. Fill up that coffee mug. Be back here in just a second.
Land Rover is more than a luxury vehicle. It's a lifestyle. Range Rover, Defender, and Discovery, 3 exclusive brands, each with distinct characteristics that reflect unique driving needs. To ensure the finest ownership experience, every new Range Rover, Defender, and Discovery vehicle is covered by a 4-year or 50,000-mile limited warranty, 24-hour roadside assistance, and more. Visit one of 4 convenient locations: Land Rover Willow Grove, Westchester, Wilmington, and Harrisburg, part of Piazza Premium Automobiles.
Hi, this is Dom Giordano with an easy question. How are your cholesterol levels? Managing healthy cholesterol is a key to a strong heart and overall wellness. For over 38 years, Rescue Natural Supplements has been a trusted ally in helping people reach their cholesterol goals. I've counted on Rescue for years, and with good reason. Their range of supplements designed to meet your specific needs, from omega-3s to red yeast rice and more. Take charge of your heart health today. Use the code DROP at checkout to double your order on any cholesterol product for free. Call today at 800-26-ALIVE, 800-262-5483. Speak to a knowledgeable product consultant or use the code online when you visit res-q.com, res-q.com. Remember to use the code DROP to buy one, get one free on Rescue Cholesterol products. Double up your cholesterol support today. Use the code DROP
at res-q.com.
Dan owed an unbelievable amount of money to the IRS.
I got behind on my taxes. It's a horrible feeling.
He was in denial.
And when I got those letters from the IRS, you wanted to act like they didn't exist.
Finally, Dan turned to Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $1 billion for their clients.
Optima got me a settlement with the IRS. These people are really people-friendly. It was every bit of a new lease on life for me.
The fast action and the great results made Dan's head spin.
I felt like I was in a dream, but it's real, and I have paperwork to prove it. They got the job done, and life is good.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation.
If you're worried about what's going to happen with the IRS, stop worrying. Make the call now.
Call 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
When I grow up, I want to be a new pair of blue jeans. When I grow up, I want to be a kid's first computer. When I grow up, I don't want to be a piece of garbage. And if you recycle me, I won't be.
Give your garbage another life. Recycle. Learn how at iwanttoberecycled.org. Brought to you by Keep America Beautiful and the Ad Council.
WPHT, WPHT HD, WOGL HD3 Philadelphia. From the Cherry Hill Volvo Studios, where relationships matter. Always live on the free Odyssey app. Live and local with Matt Rooney. On Talk Radio 1210, WPHT.
Welcome back, old friends, new frenemies, and all who lie elsewhere in between on the spectrum that is life. I am Matt Rooney, and this is the Matt Rooney Show. 36 days left to go until we decide the fate of this greatest country in God's creation. So we are not slowing down here on this program and at this station. We are going hard and strong all the way through the finish line. We know you are as well. That's why you're here. 855-839-1210 is the number. Over on YouTube, youtube.com/@1210 WPHT. Make sure you give us a like. I think at some point, Stocker's going to give us a toaster or something if we get enough likes. He tells us to tell people to like it, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what we get out of it, but I'm hoping something.
His appreciation, I think.
His appreciation. That's right. Maybe we get like a little gold sniff sticker. You know what I'm talking about? Those ones you get when you're in kindergarten.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. By the way, someone fact-checked you in the last hour. You were correct, but confirmed that you were 6 years old.
Oh.
You're trying to figure out how old you were in the 2004 election.
Okay.
So
well,
people
I appreciate that somebody was able to do the math that I can't.
Yeah. Well, it's hard. Math is hard, right? I went to law school for a reason. I can only count in 6-minute intervals because that's how I bill people. Well, busy show tonight. 1 hour already gone, a little bit shorter than our normal first hour because of the Phillies game. At least the Phillies won. I only ever care when they make us start a little late when they perform terribly. But they got it done in the end.
Yeah.
So we'll forgive them. We have a guest coming up here in just a second, but don't forget, in our third and final hour, we'll be joined by Mark Mitchell, head pollster of Rasmussen. He's going to tell us about all the latest battleground results he has. I think you're going to be interested in what he has to say. But let's cut to the chase and talk to the man of the hour. If Donald Trump and J.D. Vance carry the great state of Pennsylvania here coming up in just a few short weeks, I know who belongs on the stage as part of that celebration. He is a man who has made it his mission in life to register as many voters as he can in the ultimate battleground state. He has helped flip multiple counties now from blue to red, and he's not done yet. So we're appreciative beyond words that Scott Presler is taking some time tonight to join us here on the Matt Rooney Show to give us some updates from the trail. So without further ado, Scott, great to finally meet you, albeit over the phone. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, and I'm joining you from Berks County, Pennsylvania, just outside of Shoemakersville. Thanks so much for having me.
Now, my first question for you is, do you ever sleep? Because sometimes I'm up late working on something, and I'm always checking your feed over on X, and I'm convinced that you don't. Let's back up even a little bit further for a second, Scott, because so many people know what you're doing and they follow you and they cheer you on. They may not know who you are and why you're doing it. Can you explain to all of us out there in the Delaware Valley what got Scott Presler originally interested in coming to Pennsylvania and flipping it red for Donald Trump?
Thank you. Well, I was initially inspired by President Obama back in 2012. And I just saw our country going in the wrong direction. And as opposed to pointing the finger at everybody else, I pointed it back at myself and said, Scott, you're the problem because you're not the solution. So moved to Texas, helped elect Governor Greg Abbott, spent 2 years of my life helping to defeat Hillary, electing Donald J. Trump in 2016. Did the Baltimore cleanup in 2019. We had the debacle of the 2020 election. And something has just always rang out in my head and said, Scott, Pennsylvania. Scott, focus on Pennsylvania. And I am now a first-time homeowner, and I have moved my life to Pennsylvania just to vote for Donald J. Trump. And I know that from the Electoral College, we deliver these 19 electoral votes, we will win the White House, we will win the presidency. And so I am all in on this beautiful, great Commonwealth.
You're probably the only person who's been able to buy a home over the course of the past 4 years because of the policies of this Biden-Harris administration. Congratulations, by the way. We're glad you did it here in PA. You mentioned Berks a minute ago. You've made it your mission heading into this election to flip as many counties as you can from blue to red. Bucks was a biggie. I know you were posting today about Luzerne County. I saw a chart the other day. I forget which number cruncher put it up there. Hundreds of thousands. That's the margin by which the Democrat advantage over Republicans has shrunk in Pennsylvania over the course of the past 4 years. I have to think it makes a difference. But let me ask you this. When you're signing these people up, what's the number one reason why they're telling you they're willing to get in the game now when maybe they've sat out past elections?
Sure. It's a couple things. Number one is definitely the economy. This is an economic election. People are struggling. They can't afford their mortgage. They can't afford food. They can't afford gas. They can't afford to feed their kids. Meanwhile, Kamala Harris and Joe Biden are taking care of the rest of the globe. Our charity is going to Ukraine while we now have flooding in our country. I wish we had some of those billions of dollars to go to American citizens. And number two, the biggest second issue is immigration. Again, this is an America First theme. People are angry that everyone else is getting first dibs and Americans come last. And the third, and I think a big reason why we're seeing so many young people support President Trump, is under Trump we had peace. Putin did not invade Ukraine under President Trump. He waited for a weak and feckless Kamala Harris and Joe Biden in order to launch his attack into Ukraine. And again, young men don't want to fight these endless wars. Young men and perhaps even women, since the Democrats want equality, young people have the most to lose from the continuation of the failed Kamala Harris and Joe Biden administration. And I'll tell you, I think we're going to see unprecedented turnout, Matt. And I have been registering people in their 70s, 70 years old, and they've never voted. And they say, Scott, it's time. And I think people are finally treating this election with the urgency and the seriousness that it deserves.
It's unbelievable, and it's so heartening. And we've seen so many traditionally Democrat groups migrating, at least this is what the polls are telling us, to Donald Trump this cycle. A biggie, and I'm curious to see if you've encountered any anecdotal evidence out there, Hispanic voters. There's a new Telemundo poll that shows Donald Trump actually doing, I believe, better than George W. Bush did back in 2004 with Hispanic voters. Are you seeing evidence of that in Pennsylvania?
I believe that. And, I do want to say since 2020, times have really changed. That in 2020, the Democrats had an advantage of 650,000 more Ds than ours. That number is now 338,000. We've cut it in half in 4 years.
Wow.
Since 2020, we flipped Beaver County from blue to red. We flipped Bucks County from blue to red. That's outside of Philly. That's a really big deal, guys. We flipped Berks County, Reading, Pennsylvania, from blue to red. And we flipped Luzerne, the quote-unquote backyard of Joe Biden. But Berks, why is Berks especially critical? That's a part of the Latino belt. Lehigh, Allentown, part of Luzerne, Hazeltown. You have Redding. That's our beautiful Puerto Rican and Dominican community. And I'll tell you that at my organization, Early Vote Action, that's earlyvoteaction.com, we've hired 2 bilingual Spanish and English speaking staff that are dedicated just to reaching out to the Hispanic community in Berks County, in Redding. We have also hired staff dedicated to just reaching out to our beautiful Amish and Lancaster. We are coalition building all of these groups across the Commonwealth that are going to deliver, hopefully, the state to Donald Trump. You have our truckers, our Amish, our Puerto Ricans, our hunters, our college students. Each of those, we have staff members dedicated to doing that coalition outreach.
You hit on one of the number one of 2 questions that people asked me tonight when I told them you're going to be on the program. Everyone wants to know, Scott, how tall are you? And what are our chances of seeing a wave of Amish going to the polls in November? Answer both of them, hopefully, but whichever order you prefer.
Well, I'll tell you, when this long-haired, kind of pretty boy, 6'5", enters the Amish communities, I tell you, I've been treated nicer by the Amish than I have liberal Democrats, for them being so joyous and so tolerant and accepting. The Amish, they even let me milk a cow at their farm. I hand milked a cow at an Amish farm. That's right, baby, because we believe in raw milk and we believe in the opportunity to grow what you want on your property rights and to put into your body what you want. And that's why the Amish is coming over to Donald Trump, because Governor Shapiro, a Democrat governor, is waging a war on raw milk, on farms, on school choice, on bodily autonomy. And that's why the Amish is registering to vote in record numbers. And so we are courting the Amish with mail-in votes. We are courting their votes for Donald Trump this November.
I was at a wedding in Lancaster a couple weeks ago, and I could not believe that I actually saw signs on the lawns of the Amish this time around. I never remember seeing that in any other cycle, 2016, 2004. Something is happening out there. Well, let's get to this. This is the crux of this conversation, Scott. What can we do to help you over the course of the next few weeks? You mentioned your website. I encourage everybody to check it out. That's earlyvoteaction.com. How do we make ourselves useful?
Yes, I have a call to action. So listen, 30% of Pennsylvania hunters are not registered to vote. 30% of Pennsylvania hunters are not registered to vote. Call to action number 1. Guys, we have until October 21st to register new voters. October 21st is the deadline in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania to register to vote. I want you to print off voter registration forms. Matt, you can type into the internet Pennsylvania voter registration application, or type in your local county board of election. Go pick up some forms. Bring those beautiful voter registration forms to your local gun shop, your local gun range, your local archery shop, and ask the owner if they would be kind enough to leave those voter registration forms for their customers. We're putting those signs around the state with the safety orange language that says 30% of Pennsylvania hunters are not registered to vote, and then it says hunt or be hunted. And we cross out the hunt and we put vote. Next, call to action number 2. We have 800,000 veterans in Pennsylvania. People do not take kindly to stolen valor Tim Walz. People do not take kindly to Kamala Harris insulting Gold Star families that she created after the debacle of a pullout from Afghanistan. So I want you to bring those beautiful voter registration forms to your VFW hall, to your American Legion hall. And third, to our young men that don't want to fight Kamala Harris's wars, go to your visit fraternity, go to your visit sorority, bring those voter registration forms. And remember, a lot of our students that are going to school here in Penn State, if they're from New York, if they're from Jersey, if they're from Connecticut, bless their hearts, then they can legally and lawfully register to vote here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. That is legal. They get one vote, but make that vote count. Put that vote in Pennsylvania. And the last call to action that you guys can do is I want you to download my application. My app is called Early Vote Action. You're probably sensing a theme here. And it's on iPhone and Android. And you can call, you can text, you can write postcards, you can even knock on doors locally. But I'm asking people, if you're listening to this and you're in the Tri-City area, you're in New York, you're in New Jersey, sneak across the border, come into Pennsylvania, help us knock on doors, help us get out the vote, and your actions could literally help save Western civilization by delivering Pennsylvania for Donald Trump.
I'm looking at this app right now here on my phone. It looks very easy to use, so there's really no excuse. That's been the theme of the show so far tonight. And, Scott, you illustrate what we're constantly trying to preach to our listeners. It's really as simple as being a community organizer. Obama made that a dirty word on the right, but going into communities, putting a face on our beliefs, and asking people to participate when no one has ever done that. But that's what you're doing day in and day out in Pennsylvania. You're a treasure. Scott Presler, everyone. You follow him already, but I'll give you the handle all the same. It's Scott Presler with one S over on X. And definitely check out earlyvoteaction.com. Not just to follow along. You got to get off the benches, get off the bleachers here. You need to engage this election, and Scott is showing us the way every single day. We really appreciate you making time for us tonight, Scott. We say that to all of our guests, but with you, time is really of the essence, so we know how busy you are. Please check in with us between now and the finish line in November to let us know if there's anything else we can do.
I will, Matt. And one last thing that's very critical. If you guys don't want to vote a mail-in ballot, but you're not going to be in town on November 5th, after October 16th, all of the counties across the 67 should have on-demand mail-in voting. Basically what that means is visit your local board of elections or visit your local courthouse, go in person and ask for an on-demand, in-person mail-in ballot. You'll be able to turn it in right then and there at your board of elections, and then you're voting early, and it's not going into a drop box, it's not going to a mailbox. And that's for our truckers or police or firefighters. But, Matt, thank you so much for the opportunity. Your producer has my cell phone, and I would love to come back and give you an update in a couple weeks.
You're the man. We appreciate everything you're doing. Seriously. Thank you, Scott.
Hey, thank you. Have a good week.
You too. Scott Presler, everyone. Doing the job that I said it before, and I didn't want to put him on the spot because he's a very relentlessly positive guy, even though he doesn't mind throwing a punch. He's doing the job that the Republican Party should have been doing for decades in states like Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and everywhere else, all the 50, right? So if we had one of him in every state, we'd be a lot closer to saving this country.
It'd be a Reagan-Bush 84 every single time.
Seriously, wouldn't that be beautiful? 855-839-1210 is the number, ladies and gentlemen. YouTube.com/@1210WPHT. I'm Matt Rooney. This is the Matt Rooney Show. Let's take a break to fill those coffee mugs, and we'll be back with more in just a moment.
Don't miss the Labor and Energy Show with J-Doc and Krause, brought to you by Advocacy United, this Saturday night at 6. Find out about the important issues that'll affect you. The Labor and Energy Show, Saturday night at 6 on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
If you're driving a car or truck with an expired warranty and suddenly lost your transmission or needed a full engine repair, would a $4,000 repair bill leave you stranded? I'm Danica Patrick. Don't get caught off guard with a vehicle breakdown. Choose the company I trust, Endurance. No matter the mileage, if your vehicle is less than 20 years old, Endurance offers auto protection plans for any budget. Protection on the drivetrain, electrical, transmission, AC, and more. Plus 24/7 roadside assistance and rental car reimbursement on any plan. Endurance handles everything from making the claim to paying the certified mechanic of your choice. Act now and get 1 full year of elite benefits. A $2,000 value, free.
Endurance has paid hundreds of millions in claims. Call for your fast free quote today. Call 800-291-3183. That's 800-291-3183. 800-291-3183.
For a complete list of Talk Radio 1210 WPHT's contest rules, go to 1210WPHT.com/rules.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-511-3535. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-511-3535. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-511-3535. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-511-3535. 800-511-3535 or biglou.com.
It's not just about watching the game, it's about betting on it. I'm Mike Valeni, and on Cash the Ticket, Jim Costa and I break down every college football and NFL matchup like it's the last game we're ever going to watch. From the best bets to the sneaky underdogs, and of course, as my co-host likes to say, the value. And the one thing we're not going to do is pretend we're professionals. We have fun with it, it's an entertainment product, and it makes watching games a hell of a lot of fun. So Cash the Ticket, follow it in the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program will only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it ends your debt nightmare and saves you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. Debt Relief Advocates has established a relief hotline for you to call to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for, so don't wait. For this free information, call the relief hotline at 800-525-8448. 800-525-8448. 800-525-8448.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6481. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6481. That's 800-575-6481. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
This is Dr. Marianne Ritchie. Tune in to Your Radio Doctor every Saturday afternoon at 5 here on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT for the latest healthcare news and information, because your health is your wealth. That's Your Radio Doctor, Saturdays at 5.
Feel like everything's clouded by doubt? Visit CaliforniaPsychics.com. Our psychics are available to talk 24/7, and we guarantee if it's not life-changing, it's free. Experience the joy of certainty. California Psychics.
I learned it from my adoptive mom. Hold my hand.
You hold my hand. Learn about adopting a teen from foster care at adoptuskids.org. You can't imagine the reward. Brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
Hey, Clementon. Yeah! We know your favorite station is Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. WPHT.
The cult of personality. I know your anger, I know your dreams. I've been everything you wanna be. Oh, I'm the cult of personality.
Plenty of conversation over in the chat. YouTube.com/@1210WPHT about being duped by the Bushes. I started out tonight's Matt Rooney show by talking about how I was a bright-eyed young man, a college student, a college Republican, knocking doors for the Bush-Cheney ticket in Pennsylvania and in Ohio back in 2004. We thought we were doing the right thing. And look, I mean, sometimes politics really is the lesser of two evils, especially in a two-party system. So I don't even know if I can say that I regret campaigning against John Kerry and John Edwards that year. But what the Republican establishment still doesn't understand, and as evidenced by the fact that I saw, remember Jeff Flake from Arizona, right? He came out today as if anybody cares and endorsed Kamala Harris. Don't they understand they're making our point? What they still don't understand is we are done with voting for something that doesn't represent a real change, that doesn't represent a true difference for at the end of a long day of working and running kids around the football and soccer and paying bills and picking up our partner at the mechanic because the car broke again, all the things that are part of everyday life for normal people, right? Don't they get that we're tired of, well, you know, we'll keep the country heading for the cliff, but we'll slow it down to 25 miles per hour. With the Democrats, it's speeding towards the cliff at 80 miles per hour. That's not enough of a difference for us anymore. We're not voting for that. And I think that's what Donald Trump represents more than anything else. But, you know, I mean, look, I will give this for George W. Bush. At least he's keeping his mouth shut, right? At a time when a lot of other people are emoting about Donald Trump in this election, I think he's at least smart enough to understand that, listen, if you're not with us, then just stay retired, right? Because we're trying to save a country, and we don't need any extra ballast. 855-839-1210 is the number. Scott Presler, always great. Always enjoy listening to him. It was a pleasure to finally get to chat with him myself. I'll quote a friend who was listening to the interview a moment ago, and I think it sums it up where Scott's concerned. He said, Scott is doing the work. Everyone else is holding out for a management position. That's right. And that's why I get frustrated, because occasionally you hear people, and I mentioned this earlier in the program, they'll complain, oh, you know, is it really Scott that's flipping these counties? Well, obviously he's not the only factor. He's one man. The point is we finally have someone leading and working. And at this pass in our history and in this era of our politics, there are so many people that all they're doing is opening up an X account and taking pot shots at other people, right? From the safety of their parents' basement, right? Scott's actually out there working his tail off day in and day out.
That's it. All it takes is one incredibly motivated 6'5" man with flowing hair to get the ball rolling, and then other people.
I guess 6'5" too.
You did guess 6'5".
I did. I guess 6'5", and sure enough, that's what he is. He's 6'5". So he's working hard. So definitely make sure, if you're not already and you're looking for something to do, check out his early vote action app and website. So I talked to Scott a little bit about Hispanic voters earlier in the program, and it's big, folks. This is huge. Polls are snapshots, even when they're accurate, right? So who knows what's going to happen on Election Day? And I will tell you this much. We are going to get exit polls, but you know the one thing less reliable than regular polling is exit polling. So we may never know what the true results are in this respect, other than some anecdotal data that the parties will try to put together long after the dust has settled. But let me give you a little bit of perspective here. We have a new Telemundo poll that shows Donald Trump capturing 40% of the Hispanic vote. Okay? For those of you that are in college right now and haven't deprogrammed yourself, Latinx. But that's not a thing. I'm actually saying that because I'm trying to troll our actual Hispanic producer, Justin, here.
I hate that word. It's just,
you get your blood boiling. I know.
Oh, you have no idea when it's always the same. You know, multicolored hair. I won't say anything about the weight, but you know what I'm thinking.
Oh yeah,
white woman who just
tries. White woman, that's the key.
Yeah,
they're not even Hispanic.
They're not even Hispanic. They're white woman, and they try and fit themselves in where they don't belong, and just make up this gender neutral term for a language that is inherently gendered. Yeah. And just to feel good about themselves. It's not because they care about Latinos. They don't care about Latinas. They don't care about that. They just care about making themselves feel good. And it boils my blood to absolutely no end.
As it should, because we know that on the right, we don't believe in reducing people to just the color of their skin or where their parents or grandparents came from. But if you are a non-white voter and you have the guts to identify as a Republican, or even forget about identifying as a Republican, identifying as anything other than a loyal Democrat, you are disparaged, demeaned, treated like a dog. And I think that's part of what non-white voters in this country are rebelling against this cycle. But I said Donald Trump's getting 40% in this Telemundo poll. Not a Rasmussen poll, not a Trafalgar poll. This is Telemundo. 54 for Harris. That's a 14-point gap. In 2020, Joe Biden was at 36 points. That was the gap. He was ahead of Trump by 36 points. In 2016, when Hill Dog still lost, it was 50. It was 50. That was the gap. So one of the questions we're going to have for Mark Mitchell, the head pollster at Rasmussen, who's coming up here in our third and final hour, he'll be here about 9:15. For those of you keeping track, why are so many of these polls still tied? His poll doesn't have a tie. His latest national poll, I believe, has Trump ahead by 2, which would be a big national victory for a Republican. It would mean possibly an electoral college landslide. But how do you explain some of these tied polls? Assuming they are actually tied, is it because, for example, maybe Kamala Harris is overperforming with woke, performative white liberals? Is that a possibility? Maybe it is. I don't know. We're going to ask the expert when he gets here. It's not just yours truly, though, that's talking about this and picking up on it. There is panic on the left. Let's check in with a New Jerseyan who made it all the way over to MSNBC. Steve Kornacki. He was talking just the other day on the network about the Hispanic shift to Trump and the GOP. And I gotta give it to Kornacki, even though he's definitely not a man of the right. He's usually relatively honest in his analysis of the numbers, even if it triggers everybody else he works with. Listen to this. It's historic if it comes to fruition.
We ask a basic question of Hispanic voters. Which party do you more identify with? 37% now say Republicans, 49% say Democrats. But again, look at how this has shifted in just the last dozen years. In 2012, this was a 41-point advantage for the Democrats. It has come all the way down to 12 points, Kristen, a 29-point drop in terms of that gap there on which party Hispanics identify with in just 12 years. We ask a big...
Massive. Just a little over a decade we've seen the shift. And I'll tell you what really twists their panties on the left, that this shift is happening despite the fact that the Republican nominee, arguably his number one issue, is the mass deportation of people that broke into the country. White liberals, this is making their head hurt. They don't understand. They're the ones with their paternalistic self-righteousness that are here to take care of non-white Americans and protect them from, evil patriarchal racists like Donald Trump, right? So why are these Hispanics flocking to the MAGA banner? How could this be possible? Well, it's something that we've talked about many times here on the Matt Rooney Show. If you've come here the right way and risked everything to leave your native country, which may be under the regime of a despot, a strongman, drug cartels, a communist regime, and you've taken your family to this country to take part in the American dream, and then the Democrat Party, all they have to offer you is rampant crime in your neighborhoods, the promise of free stuff, which never materializes or just drives inflation. They're constantly attacking your values every single day of the week and 6 times on Sunday, right? And plenty of condescension. They're serving plenty of that up to you. And then their solution is to let more people break into the country who didn't do it the right way, just because they think it's somehow going to swell their voter rolls and give them an advantage in the next election. Now, is it possible to understand why a majority or at least a plurality of Hispanic Americans might finally be getting tired of this stuff? The folks that suffer the most from this border crisis are law-abiding Hispanic Americans who are now finding out, to their horror, that the Democrat Party is trying to turn this country into exactly what they ran away from, or their parents or grandparents attempt to escape. Think about it. You came here from South America to escape communism, to escape gangs, and then you come here and you find out Joe Biden's letting these same gangs come into places like Aurora, Colorado, set up, operate with impunity, and Kamala Harris is up there with the rest of her coconut meme dancers. And their only solutions to this economic crisis, which is killing everybody, regardless of color or race or ethnic origin or creed, is to implement the price controls that ravaged much of Central and South America. Again, the only way that you wouldn't be able to wrap your mind around this is if you are a pseudo-intellectual, elitist white liberal that has a God complex and think that you know what's best for everyone else. I'll tell you what, Justin, to be honest with you, that is one of my number one motivating factors this election, that these white liberals need to be put in their place. They're a blight. They really are.
They've been left unchecked for far too long.
Yes.
They deserve to get what's coming to them.
They deserve a comeuppance at the polls. They really do, because I've said this before to fellow Republicans. We are constantly lashing back, pushing back, whatever you want to say, against this concept of privilege, right? I think that's a mistake in a way, because privilege is a real thing, but it's not what they're saying it is, right? Like my privilege, Matt Rooney, as I sit here tonight in this program, is that I was lucky enough to be born in the greatest country in the world, the history of the world. I have two parents that love each other, right, who worked really hard so that my sibling and I could grow up and be able to do even a little better than they were able to do, and they did better than their parents were able to do. That's the way that this works, right? So Democrats love to talk about privilege. Conservatives, libertarians, however you classify yourself, we just work hard, right, and try to succeed, and we don't expect anybody to give us a pat on the back. The left loves to talk about privilege, but their answer to privilege is to contract privilege, to give less people access to the same advantages that allowed them to move into their cute little suburban mini mansions, right? And to drink their, and I'm a hypocrite because I got one right here, drink their $10 Starbucks drinks. Although this was just an iced coffee, for the record. It wasn't a craft cocktail. For the record. Right? And live with all of the comforts, the creature comforts that people of prior generations would have only dreamed of being able to enjoy, right? They want to bar other people from having access to that experience, and they're succeeding. They're succeeding. I've said it earlier in the program. I'll say it again. Kamala Harris keeps saying on the stump, and it mystifies me that she's that dumb that she doesn't understand that people associate this trajectory, this phenomenon with her. She's right that the American dream is now contracting. It's getting harder to obtain. It's getting harder to obtain because of people like her and the wokesters that may be part of what I think is a shrinking coalition. So we'll see, as they say, right? We're not going to have to guess at this very much longer, but all the signs are there that Democrats are in deep, deep, deep trouble. Another group they're having a lot of challenges with, and I kind of alluded to this a minute ago, men. We hear every year that this is going to be the year of the woman, right? Or the year of the this, the year of the that. This may be the year of men. I saw one poll recently that had Donald Trump winning men by 28 points. And Scott Presler, when he joined us earlier, talked about this phenomenon that he's running into young men who traditionally were afraid to stand up to their woke girlfriends, who are now speaking up and standing up on behalf of their country and, frankly, themselves. If you're a young man in this country, you're constantly being told that you were born a predator and you're part of this evil patriarchy, and the only way for you to be a good friend and a good neighbor and a good fellow citizen to everybody else out there in America is if you constantly allow yourself to be degraded and dispossessed of the right to achieve the American dream like everybody else. Oh, and by the way, they're encouraging as many young men as they possibly can to chop off their anatomy in grade school. That's a part of what this grooming thing is designed to do. It's a war on masculinity. Well, surprise, surprise, my fellow dudes out there appear to be rebelling as we head into this election. And an MSNBC panel, I do watch MSNBC from time to time. Some of you have challenged me on this before. You got to know what the other side is thinking. That's part of the reason I love living in a blue county in New Jersey, right? If you just surround yourself with people that think the way you do, I mean, it doesn't make you as effective in learning how to challenge them. But I was watching MSNBC the other day, and they were having a positive meltdown over the fact that men no longer want to vote for the party that hates them. Listen to this.
But it's men. I mean, I think the real struggle for the Harris campaign is young men, older men, men of color, white men. But
all men. All men. And you can see it's a mostly female panel, and they're so annoyed. They're so irritated. And I mentioned earlier the program, there's an article out from Newsweek lamenting that the Republican Party is now obsessed with attractive women. There's nothing wrong with being a man, right? We kind of need them, right, to perpetuate the human race, right? Just like we need women. And as I have frequently argued, part of what the left has done to our culture is they've conflated the idea of being proud of being a man and masculinity with toxic masculinity. There's a reason why most of the most notorious pigs in our culture, whether it be P. Diddy or Bill Clinton, right, or a certain former famous movie producer that's now awaiting retrial, the list goes on and on and on, right? There's a reason why most of these guys are on the left, because real masculinity doesn't manifest in that way. Real men are partners with and stand up for the women in their life and treat them the way that they're supposed to be treated. Meanwhile, you got Doug Emhoff, who wants to be the first gentleman of the country, the first we've ever had, whose claim to fame for gender equality isn't being married to Kamala Harris. It's for allegedly impregnating a babysitter, right? I mean, this is your model of masculinity, fellow leftists? I'm not your fellow leftist. I'm not on your team. I just wanted to make sure you were paying attention. 855-839-1210 is the number over on YouTube, youtube.com/@1210 WPHT. Trucking along here with our second hour. And don't forget, coming up in the 9 o'clock hour, we are joined by Mark Mitchell, the head pollster of Rasmussen. So there's still time to get in your questions. And some of you have been texting me, DMing me, sending me messages online, over in the chat. We know you have questions about all this polling. So this is the man that's in charge of one of the preeminent polls, one of the most accurate polls historically in our country. Everyone is looking to see what Rasmussen says down the home stretch. This is your chance here on the Matt Rooney Show to maybe have your question asked. So let's hear from you. Again, 855-839-1210 is the number. Quick break. Back with more in a few. Don't move a muscle.
Retirement can be scary, but only if you're not prepared. That's why AARP created thisispretirement.org. Because unless you've already retired, you're in pretirement, and you still have time to plan. Learn about retirement savings options, potential tax breaks, and how you can build savings over time. Visit thisispretirement.org for free resources to help you customize your action plan and feel the retirement fear disappear. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
We're the Goo Goo Dolls. We're fortunate that our daughters have what they need to grow and learn. But that isn't the case for nearly 13 million kids in the U.S. that struggle with hunger.
Childhood hunger is a heartbreaking reality that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste and provides it to families and children in need.
You can help kids in need in your community by visiting feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Hey, it's Matt, your leaf filter trusted pro. Gutters are an often neglected part of the home. They're also one of the most important. Clogged, overflowing gutters can cause serious problems like foundation damage or basement flooding, which can cost thousands of dollars to fix. Let's face it, cleaning gutters yourself is not only a hassle, it can be dangerous. But when you get Leaf Filter, you'll never have to worry about cleaning clogged gutters again. Get started today by visiting leaffilter.com/rain to schedule your free inspection. If you decide to move forward, we'll professionally clean, realign, and seal your gutters before installing our patented stainless steel micro mesh system. Leaf Filter keeps out everything but the water. And it's backed by a lifetime transferable no clogs warranty. So you're protected for good. We're in your neighborhood and ready to help. Visit Leaf Filter today for a free inspection and estimate, and you could save up to 30%. Visit leaffilter.com/rain. That's leaffilter.com/rain.
You can live out your MasterChef dreams when you find a professional on Angie to tackle your dream kitchen remodel. Connect with skilled professionals to get all your home projects done well. Inside to outside, repairs to renovations. Get started on the Angie app or visit Angie.com today. You can do this when you Angie that.
I learned patience from my adoptive dad. All he had to say was,
"Hey, you got this. Just breathe." Hey. We're pretty good.
Yeah.
Might have to start a band.
I got it.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to find out more. This message is brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
Don't miss The Education Show with Dom Giordano every Sunday morning at 5:30. Find out how you can help your child or grandchild succeed. Sponsored by New Hope Academy.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program will only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it ends your debt nightmare and saves you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. Debt Relief Advocates has established a relief hotline for you to call to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for, so don't wait. For this free information, call the relief hotline at 800-525-8448. 800-525-8448. 800-525-8448.
Have you subscribed to our YouTube channel yet? Do it today at 1210 WPHT. WPHT.
Terrible 808 over on X tonight with, I think, the joke of the night, even though there's not really anything funny about it. Breaking. North Carolina and Tennessee had talks to change their flag to a Ukrainian flag in hopes to receive government funding for flood victims. Not real. That's not really happening, but it says it all, right? And look, we're not even going to get that much into Ukraine tonight, even though that's a topic we could spend 3 hours on unto itself, right? But I've had this conversation in recent days with friends that are a little bit more, I don't know if neoconish is the fair way to describe them, but they're still very much in the mindset that the best way to degrade China is to degrade Russia. And I've said before in this program, maybe there's some truth to that, even though increasingly it looks like we may be succeeding in driving Putin directly into the arms of Winnie the Pooh over in Beijing. But ultimately, we have people here in this country that are suffering, that can't afford groceries, that are now going to wait and have to rely on the benevolence of Washington, D.C. to send some of their own tax dollars home to help our fellow Americans. Yet Zelensky can come over here and campaign in Pennsylvania, and you've got the governor of Pennsylvania signing missiles, making a complete joke of himself. Now, you may say to yourself, and I've heard this, well, Matt, can't we walk and chew bubble gum at the same time? Shouldn't we be able to spend money overseas to degrade our enemies in foreign theaters and also take care of our own people? My response to you is, yeah, we should be able to do that, but have you seen any evidence that Washington, D.C. is capable of doing that? I've seen none. We don't take care of our own people. more than anything, this explains the Trump phenomenon. A lot of people that have suffered for a long time and worked hard for a long time and feel very forgotten, including right here in our own area, in Pennsylvania and in my homeland of South Jersey, they rightly believe, because it's true, that no one in the halls of power is really thinking all that much about them. Democrats love to disparage Republicans by suggesting they're pro-Putin. And yeah, there's a couple people out there in social media who make the mistake that many people have made over the years of thinking that somehow you can find common cause with Vladimir Putin. The guy's an ex-KGB agent, right? Like many people in his country, he's kind of maladjusted. He's got a chip on his shoulder against the West, and I don't think there's any overcoming it. I just don't think it's going to happen, especially not now with everything that's transpired. But that's not really the point. The point is that if we want to once again lead the world as we once did, we have to have the right priorities, and we have to be strong at home. And we're not. We're coming apart at the seams. Just over the course of the past week, Justin, I know you've seen it, these random car rallies in Philadelphia. It's like something out of a Batman movie. And this is in the city that we literally started this American experiment.
Every time I see it, I'm just like, how far have we truly, as a country, fallen?
Far.
Every time I think, oh, this is definitely where it bottoms out. You know, we've hit rock bottom. There's no way we can go lower. And somehow, time and time again, I have been shocked and appalled at how we can go even further.
Yeah, well, we're working overtime to get there, because we have to remember this isn't a conspiracy theory, right? The left does not believe in a strong America. You need to take what they've said over the years literally. They don't believe that the world is better off if the United States is strong. And they're working overtime to weaken this country. And they're succeeding. It's one of the many things that's on the ballot this November. You've got a big choice to make. And I know many of the folks that listen to this show are going to make the right choice, but our mission over the course of the next several weeks, and Scott Presler did a better job than I ever could articulating it when he joined us, is to go out there and reach as many people as we possibly can. And one of the things that should be working for us is we just have a superior message, or we actually have a message, as opposed to what? Twerking and coconut memes and Brat Summer and Joy. I've joked before. I mean, here's how they came up with Kamala Harris's campaign. She went with a bunch of woke liberals. They took a day trip to Kirkland's, right, or Home Goods, and they walked around and they saw all those cheap pieces of wood that are painted with slogans, vapid slogans like joy, peace, the home is where the heart is.
Live, laugh, love.
Live, laugh, love, right? That your aunt hangs at her kitchen, right? And they wrote them all down, and that's how they came up with their platform. How's that working out? If you don't believe me that the left is completely bankrupt, not just morally, but of ideas, let's turn to someone who probably has the least self-awareness of anyone in Hollywood, which is really saying something. Julia Louis-Dreyfus, who I've enjoyed over the years. In Seinfeld, I thought Veep was really funny on HBO. She has now become a caricature of herself by becoming her character in Veep. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, she did an interview, and it's making the rounds on X, where Julia Louis-Dreyfus admits, this famous actress and a Kamala Harris supporter, dyed-in-the-wool Democrat, that she doesn't know anything about the issues, but she has strong opinions about defeating Donald Trump all the same. Even as cynical as I become, I still couldn't believe this when I heard it come out of her mouth. Justin, if we have it ready, let's rip right here.
Rena, you know, I'm not a politician. I'm not an expert on various issues that we're up against today, but I do feel strongly about who our leaders should be as an American citizen, and I would really like it if the discourse could become kinder and more effective. And I think that will be the case with Kamala Harris and Tim Walz in office. And because I think they are people who are for the people.
So she thinks that Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are people for the people, which sounds like something that George Costanza would have tried to get people to donate to in Seinfeld, right? Remember the Human Fund? People helping people?
She's just like riding off of vibes. She's no
riding,
substance at all.
No substance at all. And she admits that she doesn't know much about the issues, but she thinks that they're people for people. Well, how do you know that they're better for the people if you don't even have a cursory familiarity with what's happening right now with inflation and the border crisis and Donald Trump's economic prescriptions, which include tariffs, which are controversial, but juxtapose that with what Kamala Harris has to offer, which is Venezuelan-style, Soviet-style price controls, which, tariffs, we can debate that, right? We know 100% of the time that price controls are tried, they only succeed in bread lines. Julia Louis-Dreyfus wants a kinder, friendlier America. We're going to be spending plenty of time with each other on the bread lines and in the unemployment lines if Kamala Harris, coconut dances her way into the White House here. So, I guess in that sense, maybe we'll in a roundabout way get to what she's saying she wants. But even that, Justin, drives me nuts. How can the party, led by Kamala Harris at the moment, right? How can the party that's actively trying to jail the opposition, which is what's happening, they're trying to put Donald Trump in jail by weaponizing the Department of Justice and all these leftist activist prosecutors across the country, right? They're coordinating. How can the party that's trying to do that also be the party that's somehow going to bring us together? That is insane. It's as ridiculous to me is when you see these commercials of a fast food joint that's all of a sudden saying we're going to make America healthier, come and have our salad, as they're simultaneously shoving fries and burgers down people's gullets, right? It's just, it's like when a tobacco company runs these campaigns because they have to, right? About smoke out. We don't want young people to smoke. But for decades, right, they've had Joe Camel and the Marlboro Man and everybody else. Yeah, hawking cancer sticks to kids. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I think if I'm Donald Trump, maybe this is one of my next ads. Just play Julia Louis-Dreyfus explaining that I don't know much about the issues, but I kind of want a nicer America. And you can juxtapose that with Kamala Harris laughing. And I think it will say everything that needs to be said to all of the Americans out there, including maybe the few that are still on the fence. I don't think there are many people still trying to decide between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, by the way. I think there are people debating whether or not they're going to vote. That's what's happening right now. They have a lean one way or the other. They're deciding whether it's worth it, whether they can hold their nose and do it, whatever. If they see that juxtaposition, who in their right mind is going to think that Democrats, the left, are taking the plight of the American people right now seriously? You can't. You can't unless you're as empty-headed and as completely out to lunch as apparently Elaine from Seinfeld is, which is disappointing because, as I said, I've always enjoyed her work. I'm someone that can usually separate the fact that somebody's ideas are terrible from their art. It's getting harder and harder, and they only have themselves to blame. 855-839-1210 is the number over on YouTube, youtube.com/@1210WPHT. Please share it. Please give us a like if you haven't already. We're going to take a quick break, and then we will return for our third and final hour. Plenty more on tap, including Mark Mitchell, the head pollster of Rasmussen Reports. If you care about the state of the race, you're not going to want to miss this next segment here on the Matt Rooney Show on 1210 WPHT.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. If you own a timeshare, don't miss this public service announcement from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. If you really want out of your timeshare, hang the phone up immediately or throw that mail piece in the trash and contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance with your timeshare. As the only Inc. 500 timeshare cancellation company, our knowledge, experience, and results has made Wesley a trusted resource for over 40,000 families we've helped get out of their timeshare. Give us a call, and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about your timeshare and all of your options for cancellation.
Call for your free info kit. 800-329-2121. 800-329-2121. 800-329-2121.
Dreaming of a new bathroom?
Emmons Remodeling can turn your dreams into reality.
From modern shower or bath surround upgrades to complete remodels, our team of designers and remodeling construction experts deliver stunning results. We use high-quality materials to ensure that your bathroom will look great and last for years to come.
Call us today at 856-885-6677 or visit online at callemmons.com.
From top to bottom,
to inside and out,
at Emmons, we have you covered.
Hi, this is Dom Giordano with an easy question. How are your cholesterol levels? Managing healthy cholesterol is a key to a strong heart and overall wellness. For over 38 years, Rescue Natural Supplements has been a trusted ally in helping people reach their cholesterol goals. I've counted on Rescue for years, and with good reason. Their range of supplements designed to meet your specific needs, from omega-3s to red yeast rice and more. Take charge of your heart health today. Use the code DROP at checkout to double your order on any cholesterol product for free. Call today at 800-26-ALIVE, 800-262-5483. Speak to a knowledgeable product consultant or use the code online when you visit res-q.com, res-q.com. Remember to use the code DROP to buy one, get one free on Rescue Cholesterol products. Double up your cholesterol support today. Use the code DROP at res-q.com.
Land Rover is more than a luxury vehicle. It's a lifestyle. Range Rover, Defender, and Discovery, 3 exclusive brands, each with distinct characteristics that reflect unique driving needs. To ensure the finest ownership experience, every new Range Rover, Defender, and Discovery vehicle is covered by a 4-year or 50,000-mile limited warranty, 24-hour roadside assistance, and more. Visit one of 4 convenient locations: Land Rover Willow Grove, Westchester, Wilmington, and Harrisburg, part of Piazza Premium Automobiles.
Natural disaster in our city's history.
The mayor of Augusta, Georgia, says the power lines are so severely damaged they won't have power back until at least Saturday. At least 100 people are dead in 6 states, millions without power, and hundreds still missing.
I'm Jason Allen in Cedar Key, Florida, where there's damage from one house to the next, and you will find this extending for hundreds of miles to the north. Heather Greenwood has lived on Cedar Key for the last 5 years and manages the town's bed and breakfast.
So many of these island people work so hard and they've just lost everything.
I think we want to get touring this afternoon, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis said the damage from Helene appears to be greater than the combined effects of Idalia and Hurricane Debbie in August.
Actor, singer, songwriter Chris Christopherson has died.
On the Sunday morning sidewalk.
Best known for A Star is Born and Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore, his music spanned decades. Chris Christopherson was 88. In Lebanon, at least 2 people were killed in an Israeli strike on Beirut. CBS's Natalie Brand has more.
National Security Council's John Kirby says that Hezbollah's leadership structure being decimated works to the Israelis' advantage and is good for the region. U.S. officials tell CBS News that Hezbollah's missile capabilities have also been significantly degraded.
Around 45,000 dock workers could strike as early as Tuesday if a new contract deal isn't reached. CBS's Tim McNicholas has more.
The looming strike would mean the biggest disruption to the flow of goods in and out of the U.S. since the height of the pandemic, affecting building materials, fresh fruit, and more.
And this shelf could be empty, you're saying? Well, the bananas, yes.
New York City grocery store owner Abdul Jawad says his customers could notice changes within a week of the strike.
If it happens, how will that affect prices?
Well, prices will go higher without a doubt.
Former President Donald Trump launched new attacks on Vice President Kamala Harris at a rally in Erie, Pennsylvania.
What she's done is a total disqualifier. She should be disqualified. She should resign the vice presidency and go home to California.
Former Arizona Republican Senator Jeff Flake has also immigration on his mind and joins a growing number of Republicans endorsing Harris. He spoke about it on ABC's This Week.
One thing that she brings to the table is that she knows how to work on a bipartisan basis. And if we do immigration reform that endures, it's going to have to be bipartisan.
This is CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
WPHT, WPHT-HD, WOGL HD3 Philadelphia. From the Cherry Hill Volvo Studios, where relationships matter. Always live on the free Odyssey app. Live and local with Matt Rooney on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
Welcome back, boys and girls, to what I think, and I'm a little biased, is probably the greatest conservative talk show you're going to find anywhere on the dial in the weekend in this country. Heck of a boast, I know, but we hold it down here at the Matt Rooney Show. We deliver on 1210 WPHT. Find me another program. Even let's include some of the television networks that have the guests, the analysis, the humor, even the heart, dare I say, of this program, Producer Justin, and I know you agree.
Oh, you're not finding anything like this show anywhere else.
It just doesn't exist. I mean, you can look for it, but you're gonna find yourself wanting.
You're gonna be severely disappointed.
Severely so. 855-839-1210 is the number here at the program, should you wish to call in and participate. Over on YouTube, youtube.com/@1210WPHT, where the 1210 faithful is always active and interested. And tonight they're pretty on point because we're down to business. I've said it at the top of every hour. 36 days. How long have we been talking about this race? We've been talking about this race since the last one ended, and with good reason. It is now upon us. People are voting. I've already voted. I got my mail-in ballot. I already cast it, right? So I'm setting a good example here, because Scott Presler talked about it earlier. There are many different ways to vote. You can vote by mail, right? I did it. It felt unbelievable to cast a ballot for Donald Trump. And I talked about my story recently, speaking to the Ocean County Republican Women's Federation. Shout out to my friend Noriko that invited me. We had an overflow crowd. What else would you expect? And we had a great time. And one of the things we talked about is the fact that many of us have changed how we feel about Donald Trump over time. In 2016, I'm never going to lie to you. I was one of those people that didn't vote for him in the primary, held my nose, and voted for him on Election Day because, at the end of the day, Hillary Clinton is a demon from the lowest level of hell. So, did I want to have the distinct smell of sulfur for 4 years in the White House as she used 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue for the gain of the Clintons and their cartel? Of course not. So I voted for Donald Trump, and I took a chance that he would be different, and he was, right? And I voted for him again in 2020, even though when it came to his handling of COVID, I definitely, and this will surprise none of you, was more of a DeSantis guy in terms of how he handled that pandemic than anything we saw out of Washington, D.C. But the contrast between him and Joe Biden could not have been more obvious to me. Unfortunately, my fellow countrymen didn't make the right choice. So to review, reluctantly voted for him in 2016, felt much stronger about my decision in 2020. This year, I would have crawled across glass that was lit on fire to vote for Donald Trump. Not only because this guy is literally taking bullets for us, literally. It's not just an expression anymore, unfortunately. Everyone is trying to get this poor man. But he is taking on this challenge with grace and with strength and with courage. And I know that he's probably the only man at this point in time that can stand up to the deep state, which is the struggle of our generation. I don't think anybody else could do it that's currently available. It's Trump. And if he loses, this isn't a normal election. we just don't doom ourselves to, 4 years of higher taxes and less robust economic growth. We are going to head in a socialistic, communistic direction. He's going to go to jail, right? And I've said it before. I'm going to say it again. I don't know how much you folks love me. If what I'm told by the station is true, we're having more and more of you come on here and join this program all the time. Folks like myself and Nick Cale and Rich Zioli and Dom Giordano are not long for this world if we allow the Harris-Walz administration, yes, I said administration, to become a reality. They're coming for us. You think they like the fact that we're on the radio in a battleground state, speaking truth, disrupting the narrative? It's going to happen. I'm telling you. They're coming. They're coming. They're going to use every tool of the state, legal and otherwise, to try to shut us up if we don't have Donald Trump in our corner. So, listen, maybe I'm assuming too much. Maybe you don't care. But I have a feeling that some of you do. So, we got to go to work, folks. We got to go to work. And when we come back here in just a little bit, we're going to be joined by the head pollster for Rasmussen, Mark Mitchell, who's going to give us an update on the race here in Pennsylvania and elsewhere. He's not on tonight. We've had Robert Kalehi from Trafalgar on this program before while I was standing over at the vending machine during the break getting my customary trail mix and Coke that I usually have in the 9 o'clock hour of this program. I'm sure my doctor loves this. I saw Trafalgar has new polling, including in Pennsylvania. A little bit of breaking news. Donald Trump up about 2 points, according to Trafalgar in Pennsylvania. Bob Casey up about 2 points. So you have a very close race at the presidential level, and you also have a very close race. Almost every pollster has found a tightening race for that U.S. Senate seat, and we've had Dave McCormick on the show before. I know we're going to get him back at least one time between now and November. I mean, if you're not engaged in this one, you got to check your pulse. There's something wrong with you. So we're going to talk to Mark Mitchell about what's happening out there, what he's seeing in his own polling, obviously, first and foremost. I have some questions. I suspect you do as well. We're going to try to get as many of them answered as we possibly can. We know the left doesn't have any answers to any of our burning questions. Did you see Kamala on The View? We talked a lot about immigration in the second hour of the program. You have Americans of all races and creeds and backgrounds rejecting the chaos we're seeing at the border, including Hispanic Americans, if you believe the polls. She goes on The View and endorses mass amnesty. You're not hearing is believing. This is cut number 8 if we have it.
Do you think this is a crisis, and what is being done to address the root causes of our immigration problem?
I think the segue couldn't be more perfect because, listen, first of all, everyone knows our immigration system is broken.
Right.
Okay. The first bill that we dropped, the first bill that we offered right after inauguration was to fix the immigration system. A comprehensive plan to deal with the immigration system. Do you think they've taken it up? No. We want solutions. The solutions are at hand. But frankly, we're in an election year, and the folks who want to return Donald Trump to the White House would prefer to talk about a broken immigration system instead of focusing on the solutions that are at hand.
The solutions that are at hand. Well, we know what that compromise, air quotes for those of you that aren't watching on YouTube, we know what that compromise was. It was amnesty. That's why the bill didn't go anywhere, because the answer is not more of the same stuff, more of the Band-Aids, more of the quick fixes that have created and led to the building problem that we're currently grappling with. And we all know what the easy answer was, right? Joe Biden and Kamala Harris could have by executive order. They love executive orders in any other context. They could have used executive orders to shut down the border and use that time to develop a sane system to let the right kind of people come in and the wrong kind of people keep them away. They didn't want to do that. Why? Why? Because they think they're letting in future voters. What does it say about a party that they think that criminals are their future? Right? And that's why, I know we got to get to a break, but I'm going to tweet this out in case I don't have more time to talk about it. This is from the New York Post. The Department of Justice, folks, is suing Alabama and the state's top election official because they're accusing them of purging non-citizen voters too close to the election. Now, there are rules about purging the rolls too close to the election. We're talking about non-citizens. Why is the Democrat Party, why is Kamala Harris, why is Tim Walz, her creepy sidekick from Minnesota with his wide-eyed wife, why are they so insistent from keeping Alabama from removing non-citizens from their voter rolls if they aren't up to something nefarious? There's no reasonable explanation for it. You won't find one. We know they're up to no good. And that's why we got to stand behind our man down the home stretch here. 855-839-1210 is the number. Let's take a break because unlike the Harris-Walz possible administration, if we don't do our job, we are capitalists here at 1210 WPHT. We're going to make some cash. And when we return, Mark Mitchell of Rasmussen reports.
If you're driving a car or truck with an expired warranty and suddenly lost your transmission or needed a full engine repair, would a $4,000 repair bill leave you stranded? I'm Danica Patrick. Don't get caught off guard with a vehicle breakdown. Choose the company I trust, Endurance. No matter the mileage, if your vehicle is less than 20 years old, Endurance offers auto protection plans for any budget. Protection on the drivetrain, electrical, transmission, AC, and more. Plus 24/7 roadside assistance and rental car reimbursement on any plan. Endurance handles everything from making the claim to paying the certified mechanic of your choice. Act now and get 1 full year of elite benefits. A $2,000 value, free.
Endurance has paid hundreds of millions in claims. Call for your fast free quote today. Call 800-291-3183. That's 800-291-3183. 800-291-3183.
Hi, this is Dom Giordano. I want to talk about my friend, dentist, and board-certified prosthodontist, Dr. Robert Bentz, and the Bentz Dental Group. With the cooler weather, it's a great time to stop procrastinating. Take care of your dental health. Plus, now's the best time to see a prosthodontist, especially to help with complications as we get older and help prevent major problems. Get the smile you really want. Take control of your oral health. Call the Bentz Dental Group, 610-272-6949. Visit BentzDentalGroup.com.
When you need to know, depend on KYW News Radio 103.9 FM.
Thousands gather on the Parkway for Philadelphia's annual Puerto Rico Day Parade. Resources from more than 20 states are coming to the aid of Helene-ravaged states like North Carolina. And the Eagles lose in Tampa Bay against the Buccaneers 33-16.
Get the latest anytime on KYW News Radio. Now on Crystal Clear 103.9 FM.
You've never needed us more. Philo's got a world of entertainment for you to explore with just one subscription. Sign up today and start watching all the networks you love, like A&E, MTV, Discovery, Lifetime, Hallmark Channel, and so much more. Featuring current seasons of all the best drama, true crime, reality, and family-friendly shows you can't afford to miss. Get started today and unlock our library of over 75,000 movies and shows. And save all your favorites with the unlimited DVR so you can rewatch them anytime, anywhere, for up to a year. Philo now includes access to AMC+. You can discover your next obsession from its collection of hit originals like Mad Men, The Walking Dead, Killing Eve, Orphan Black, and tons of blockbuster movies. There are no contracts, no commitments, and no hassles. For just $28 a month, Philo's a better way to watch TV. So what are you waiting for? Visit philo.tv and sign up today to start your 7-day free trial. That's PHILO.tv.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program will only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it ends your debt nightmare and saves you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. Debt Relief Advocates has established a relief hotline for you to call to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for, so don't wait. For this free information, call the relief hotline at 800-525-8448. 800-525-8448. 800-525-8448.
Upgrade your bathroom with Emmons Remodeling.
We offer custom design, build, renovation services to fit your style and budget. Our designers work closely with you to create the perfect space for you and your family.
Experience luxury and functionality with the expert team at Emmons.
So call us at 856-885-6677. Again, that's 856-885-6677, or visit us at callemmons.com. From top to bottom,
to inside and out,
at Emmons, we have you covered.
This is a commercial for California Psychics, America's most trusted psychic network. So, if you're waiting for a sign, this is it. No, really, this is it. You won't see your soulmate's face in the clouds or your career path mapped out in your cappuccino foam. This really is it. We could add some dramatic sound effects if you'd like. So what you waiting for? Experience the joy of certainty at CaliforniaPsychics.com.
Hey, Ambler. We know your favorite station is Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. Follow us anywhere on the free Odyssey app.
I have a little more encouraging news for all of you out there tonight that are trying to read the tea leaves of election 2024. I don't usually get to give you good news on a consistent basis. So when I can, I think I should. Life shouldn't be all darkness, right? Which sometimes for those of us that follow politics and aren't insane, that's the way that it feels. Early vote data down in Virginia. Now, we should emphasize that this is early vote data, right? Because we're over a month, little over a month from decision day. But there's some interesting things happening down there in the Old Dominion. Check this out. This is from Target Early. As of Friday, Democrat turnout was about 53.7% of those who had showed up in Virginia. Republican, a little under 40%. That's a slight drop for Democrats of about 1.5 points, an uptick for Republicans of almost 8%. So plenty of anecdotal data coming in that Republicans are turning out this time, and they're excited. Democrats, at least versus 2020, not much of a change in enthusiasm. Now, clearly, Republicans need to improve much more than Democrats do, since we didn't win last time around. But this is good, especially in a blue state like Virginia, that it's been 20 years, if you can believe it, since a Republican presidential nominee has carried that state. And I have high hopes for Virginia because, yes, you've got that inner rig suburban area of Washington, D.C. that's full of federal workers who might be out of a job if a Republican wins. Too bad, so sad. So it's a tough state, much tougher state than it used to be. But how many times in recent memory have we heard that Virginia is hopelessly blue? And then it's been so close. Or, as in the case of 2021, Glenn Youngkin actually won. I have the same sort of pipe dreams about my home state of New Jersey when they said that it wasn't possible that Phil Murphy was going to win by a blowout in 21. And sure enough, Jack Ciattarelli came within a few points. So, listen, if my next guess, his national polling is correct, don't count anything out in 2024. If the American people stand up for their country, incredible things can happen. But we rely on Rasmussen reports because, well, it's in Mark Mitchell's bio over on X. People are biased. Polls shouldn't be. We all have our biases, right? But you want a pollster that tries to give you the straight dope, as the kids say, and that's what our next guest does every single day by as they used to say in math class, he shows you his work. He tells you what his methodology is, and on a daily basis, we're getting those updated tracking numbers. So we value Mark Mitchell very highly, and we welcome him back to 1210 WPHT and the Matt Rooney Show. Mark, you're a busy man. We really appreciate you making time for us tonight.
No, hey, listen, I'm a numbers nerd, and if anybody wants to talk polling, I'm there.
I never knew, being a future lawyer when I was back at school, that I'd ever like math this much. And I'm not sure, again, polling is maybe a little bit science, a little bit art. I'd be interested to hear your take, but I just obsess over this data now, trying to understand it. And I meant what I just said. One thing that I appreciate about Rasmussen, and I think many people do, is you show your math. We see the daily fluctuations, and occasionally my heart drops because I see Kamala spike, but that makes sense, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's all just statistics, right? If you sample over and over again, you're going to get a run of things you don't like. You're going to get a run of good things. And it is a close race right now, but what hasn't been changing very much is just the weekly national popular vote lead that Trump has. He's been +2 the last 3 weeks we've put numbers out. And just that alone is just colossally bad news for Kamala Harris. And it's not just us, like everybody else that is pretty respected agrees with us. Trafalgar, I think, had Trump +2. New York Times, Siena has Trump tied. Atlas Intel had Trump +3. And then even Quinnipiac, like the blind squirrel who finds a nut every once in a while, has the race tied. But then, you have your Reuters, Ipsos, Morning Consults, and everybody else that's a three-letter word, CBS, NBC, even Fox, have Harris up quite a bit. And somebody's going to get egg on their face. But, yeah, like what's really been fascinating recently is that a lot of state polling has been dropping. And we put a lot of state polls out just this week. I mean, I put a 100-hour weekend last week putting all these numbers out. And it is like a very razor-thin race in our numbers in the swing states, but I also think for a bunch of reasons that Trump is probably going to outperform that. But basically the bookends are we polled Virginia and we had Trump down 3, and we polled North Carolina and we had Trump up 3, and everything else is basically in the middle of that. But what was fascinating today is that last 2 days Atlas Intel put some swing states out. And we had Trump doing better in the Sun Belt, not as well in the Rust Belt, and theirs were completely opposite. They had Trump doing worse in the Sun Belt and better in the Rust Belt. But the thing is that if you take every single one of our polls and their polls and stack them up, our margins of error overlapped. So you're getting to the point where if you do like an 800 sample state poll with a margin of error ±3, everybody's putting polls out that it's all within the margin of error. Emerson even put a set of swing state polls where almost every single one was an exact tie. And, maybe that's just the way the dice fell, or maybe it was a little bit of a cop-out. But honestly, with Trump +2 nationally, he should be winning quite a few of those swing states, and that's what our polling showed. It showed Pennsylvania tie, but it showed him up +3 in Georgia, which was pretty great, +2 in Arizona, +1 in Nevada, +1 in Michigan, and a tie in Wisconsin. So, again, I think he's going to do better than our results for a ton of reasons. And also, not only that, between now and Election Day, I feel like there's going to be a gut check because you just have to look at the events that are going to pan out. There's just not that much scheduled that might move the race. And Trump is really out there campaigning a lot. Kamala Harris really kind of isn't. Trump has RFK and J.D. Vance out there and Tulsi Gabbard, and his, he has a lot of substance to his policies, and it's just like the media circus is over, and there's potentially a chance that his numbers improve. And then, of course, we're also on October surprise watch.
Right, which, I mean, clearly a lot of people still have to vote. I wonder sometimes if it matters a little less than it used to because we're all voting now on a rolling basis. But you mentioned something very interesting a moment ago. You noted that Rasmussen has Trump, your latest numbers, up 2 nationally, but tied in Pennsylvania. Most people would assume that, hey, if Trump actually wins the popular vote, first time that a Republican's done that in 20 years, maybe he's not going to win a landslide in Pennsylvania, but he should be able to win here. What are those reasons you alluded to that you think Trump is likely to outperform your current battleground state polling?
Just from a numbers perspective, in 2020, we think the average of all of our national polling was about 2 points left. And so I took 2 points of Democrat weighting out of the weights, which should correct for that. But we did a little bit of state polling, not too much in last cycle, but what we did was really far left. In the swing states, the average, we were like 6 points to left. And then when I went we did a lot more state polling this time, and I have to do a lot of research and figure out the weightings. And it's not always party weighting. We're looking at region and where people say they live, urban, suburban. And so there was a lot of work I put into that. But at the end of the day, when I say, all right, if we were 6 points left in Pennsylvania because we were overweighted Democrats, I'm not going to take all that slack out. So I really only took about 2/3 of it out, 4-ish points, because we don't want to overshoot the other way. And then to be honest with you, there's always a little bit of asymmetry in the parties' turnout machines and mechanisms and advertising. And I'm not watching TV in Pennsylvania. It's impossible to know the effect of all the money that's being spent. And so when you see some things like, well, Republicans have a registration advantage, or there's like a lot of electricity on the ground, I'm not going to go ahead and like bake that into potential shifts the Republicans might get.
Right.
But I see a lot of that, right?
As
And
tempting as
so
it would be to have a
ultimately
Scott Presler factor, who was on the show earlier tonight, in your polling, it wouldn't be.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it wouldn't be appropriate.
Well, I'm trying to poll on what should be, not what could be, essentially, right? And so I think there's a lot of reasons why it could be better for Trump, especially in Pennsylvania, like the incredible registration, maybe the shy independent Trump voter, the fact that my independents in Pennsylvania actually leaned kind of left, even though the Teamster Union took a hard turn right. Like, I could go over point by point. There's so many of them. The mail-in ballots are decreased, like all these different things. But then ultimately there's probably a few scenarios where the Democrats do better as well, and it mostly comes down to electioneering or maybe a shy Harris vote. There could be a shy Harris vote of people who don't want to put the signs out but are just, they really hate Trump.
Yeah, and I've seen a couple, and I think it's very interesting in my neighborhood. I've seen Harris signs, but they're very rarely Harris Waltz signs. Now, I guess one of the easy explanations is that, hey, listen, they kind of put the ticket together a little late, so maybe they're a little behind on sign production. But usually it's about a sub-issue within the campaign. For example, I saw one sign out today, I'm a veteran and I'm not a loser, alluding to that quote that was attributed to Trump and has never been proven. I don't know what that tells you. Maybe that does suggest that there is a shy Harris vote. Certainly, I hope there's not. One thing that I think that's interesting, let's assume for a second these polls are accurate that show a tie. I know Rich Barris, he's been on the show before. He suggested in one of his recent podcasts, he thinks it's a bunch of nonsense. He thinks it's them trying to hedge their bets. But I've also seen in a lot of these same polls that consistently now Donald Trump seems to be getting double-digit support among black voters. He's getting tremendous support from Hispanic voters, the best we've seen in 20 years. Assuming for a second that these polls are somewhat accurate, how do you explain how he's performing nationally at a tie, but still it's a jump ball, not winning these battleground states? Is it, for example, support from white voters that's maybe going stronger for Kamala Harris than one might have otherwise expected it to? Do you have any sense of what we're seeing out there?
I do think first, let me put it this way. Trump is performing better than he ever has, ever in all of our polling. And it's mostly driven by the inexorable march right on all of these traditional demographics. 18 to 39-year-olds are relatively tied. They went to Clinton like 30 or 40 points. Hispanic voters, we have them mostly tie, if not up in some of our polling. Same story, just 8 years ago. And right now, on a national level, the black vote's going, 25 to 30% Trump in our polling. And maybe it's not going to be that big, right? I'm not trying to sharpen the pencil to get that demographic right. There's only so much that polling can do. I'm trying to get the top lines right. But even if, I still think we're going to see a 20 to 25% number nationally, you're like, okay, well, the race is still kind of deadlocked. And a lot of that is like everybody's still weighting Democrats at like 2020 turnout levels, and maybe that'll happen and maybe it won't. And then you do have this inflamed white liberal vote that is there, and it might hide in certain sub-demographics. Like there's no crossover advantage period whatsoever for Trump anymore. That disappeared. There was one with Biden where more Democrats would go for Trump than Trump supporters would go for Biden, but now it's equal. And, maybe for like every 2 votes that the Hispanic vote gains, the Biden Harris supporters are gaining a white liberal woman in suburbia. And we did some really fascinating polling, trying to pull the crosstabs up here. But the state poll that we put out, 10 different states, was very rich. It had a lot of issue questions, and people could go and take a look. And one of the ones that, to me, really put its finger on the pulse of exactly what's happening in America. We asked this issue question, and I just pulled up Arizona. It was the first one I could grab. Which issue is the most important one for the next president to solve? Abortion rights, illegal immigration, rising prices, or protecting our democracy? And in Arizona, illegal immigration won 31 points to rising prices, second, 27%, but then protecting our democracy, 23%. But what we also asked in the poll was what cable news source people trusted most, CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, or Newsmax. And people who watch MSNBC, 55% of them said protecting our democracy was the number one issue. 30% said abortion. So a combined total of 85% on those two basically core, like Democrat kind of canard issues. It's like a fear issue. It's like Trump is going to take these things away from you. But people who watch Fox News and Newsmax, it's overwhelmingly prices in the border. I mean, Fox News was almost 50% the border and another 32% prices, so 85%. That's kitchen table stuff, right? So Fox News and Newsmax viewers are very much concerned about the things that were taken away from them, border security and prices. And MSNBC watchers, and to a lesser extent CNN watchers, are worried about things that might be taken away from them by Trump. Very much a fear signal. So that's what I mean. Like, we're at peak gaslighting media fear, and that's what all of the internals of these crosstabs show. And it's unfortunately still very effective with a large portion of America, but according to our latest numbers, it's only 46% of them. And it's like 48 to 49% for Trump. And again, we might be a point off or two, but everybody that is highly rated seems to agree with us. We put some work out on our Twitter that showed that basically the higher your average polling sample error, the more Democrat leaning you are. I mean, it's just incredible. Like, there's not supposed to be a bias in the industry, right? One poller might have a little bias this way, another one the other way, but on average, right, it should be on both sides, but it isn't that way. All of the error swings left, and it seems like it's doing it again, and I guess we'll find out. Maybe it's worse than 2020, maybe it's not, but there's just a lot of signs that Trump potentially will overperform like he did in 2016 and 2020.
Well, that last point you made about the difference between different polling outfits and how they perform, I guess it makes sense to me, right? I mean, if you're producing a poll for NBC, you know that your audience skews left, you got to give them what they want. Just like most universities are not going to pay for research that doesn't say that the climate crisis is real and the polar bears are all going to be dead in 10 years. It always seems like that's what it is for me. It's fan service is what we would call it in a different context. But it is in some ways deeply concerning, right? The people are still, you are what you eat. We've kind of balkanized ourselves by gorging ourselves on a certain kind of news, and it completely changes your worldview. And that clearly isn't a great thing. But one of the things I love about your surveys is you dig into some other interesting things that tell us how people vote, or at least maybe tell us something about who they are and how it informs how they vote. You recently polled how people are leaning in this election based upon what pet they have, which is awesome. After the whole cat lady flap with JD Vance, I want to make sure I have these numbers correct. If you're a married male cat owner, Trump +4, which actually surprised me on multiple levels, maybe just because I hate cats. But unmarried male cat owners, Trump +1. Married female cat owners, Trump +3. Unmarried female cat owners, Harris +36. So I guess if nothing else, you kind of sort of proved JD right.
Yeah, so this was crazy. I like to have fun on my Twitter feed. I'm a fun guy. And we poll more than anybody on issues, and we just happen to have this, we're still polling public interest stuff like, do people like chocolate more than vanilla? And we did a set last week on do you have cats or dogs or fish and blah, blah, blah. But it's in the same poll where we ask our matchup numbers, and just so for some experimentation and some fun, I crunched the numbers together. And we're always looking for signal, like where is a bigger signal, and it's in the cat lady vote. And it really, if you're a cat owner, basically it's a wash or maybe a lean Trump, unless you're an unmarried woman cat owner, and then you go to Kamala Harris by 36 points, which was the biggest signal in all the pet ownership. And it's crazy because married women dog owners lean Trump by 17 points, and married men dog owners lean Harris by 12. So it's really funny, like the marriage and pet combination has a pretty big signal, but like 36 points, we're talking 65% Harris, 29% Trump. That's almost as much as party. If you are single and have a cat, you almost vote Harris as much as Democrats do. More than religion, more than education, more than income, more than literally anything else. And it's like all the other cat owners, it doesn't really have an impact. It's only single cat. So there's something going on, and I joked about it. It's probably the Toxoplasma Gandhi vote, but whatever. Pretty crazy. So we're always looking for opportunities to, and we do little polls on our Twitter too. And we found that Harris voters were slightly more accepting of Crocs. And today we found that there actually wasn't a difference between Harris and Trump supporters on whether fake service dog owners were detestable or not. So, like to keep the levity.
Now, have you polled Crocs and socks? Because it seems like a lot of young voters are doing that now. One of my nephews wears Crocs and socks, and I looked at him like he had 6 heads, and he said, "No, Uncle Matt, this is like what we do now. This is acceptable."
Oh, that's horrible. I think Crocs are the worst thing on earth. But believe it or not, actually, it was like 58% of Trump supporters said they were Crocs. Now, those were Twitter polls. The pet ones were not. That was actually a scientifically conducted poll. But we were also actually a good conversation on Twitter about the tattoo vote. And believe it or not, the tattoo vote has swung incredibly towards Trump. Back just like 10 years ago, 26% of Democrats had tattoos, but it was only like 14% of Republicans. And now they're basically at parity at about 30%. Pretty incredible. In fact, Republicans with tattoos are 1 point more than Democrats.
And you know what? I mean, we're laughing, and you said you like to have fun, and some people would look at this stuff, Crocs, cats, whatever, as being inconsequential. I think in some ways this is the most important polling there is, because we know that there is a cultural and values divide in this country. The gulf between people that line up on either side, it's seismic, and this stuff helps you understand it, which is why I understand, even though I don't agree with the people that were triggered by J.D. Vance when he said that. My reaction initially was, well, it's true. Even if you happen to be a cat lady, if you're someone who has devoted your life to an animal instead of forming a family, naturally your interests are going to be different than somebody that's got 6 kids and goes to church once a week. The idea that was controversial, it kind of blew my mind.
Well, that's exactly what I'm spending my entire day trying to figure out, is that party used to be the biggest descriptor, and it's not anymore. And ideology is a little bit bigger than party, but the biggest descriptor right now is Biden approval. So basically, almost with 100% certainty, if you tell me you're a Joe Biden strong approver or Joe Biden strong disapprover, I can predict exactly how you're going to answer any issue question. And religion, like you said, is also really high. It's not quite as high as party, but it's getting up there. Atheists break Kamala Harris in one of our polls 83% to 9%, which is almost exactly where Democrats go. And in Pennsylvania, in our swing state poll, evangelicals went for Trump by almost 50 points.
Wow.
So, but there is something, like you said, it's not just religion. There's this values divide, or the way that you perceive reality, or whether you worship authority or are concerned about authority weaponization. And still haven't found the universal question to really solve that. And I guess we're going to have to keep looking. But if people want to come follow me on Twitter and give suggestions, I'd love to hear it. I don't know what it is. It's probably got to be something subtle where people don't know what they're giving away. Maybe it's about whether or not you believe in the First Amendment. Maybe it's about whether you're trying to learn from somebody you're arguing with or put them in their place. There's something deeper going on, and I'd really like to figure it out.
I can actually answer this question for you because I religiously follow you over on X. It's whether or not you think Rasmussen is accurate or not. If you are accepting of Rasmussen's track record, you line up one way. If you just dislike everything Mark Mitchell says because you don't like the cut of his jib, I think you're on the other side. But listen, that's what happens when you're honest, right? You invoke those kinds of reactions in people. But that's one of the reasons why we enjoy it.
They hate us because they can't shut us up. I think we do a pretty good job from an accuracy perspective. But again, polling, like you said, is an art, not a science, and we're going to get it wrong sometimes. But the real question is, why are we polling on all these topics that everybody else has run from, like election integrity, vaccine safety, weaponization of the criminal justice system, Biden's crimes even? Nobody touched that. Not a single person. They all just hid. None of the journalists went after those topics, and they hate us because of that and want to shut us down. And that's why we have fact checkers whose whole job it is to come after us on Washington Post, and they haven't been successful, and I know it must really make them mad.
Yep, it makes them mad, but it makes us glad, folks. Mark Mitchell from Rasmussen Reports. He's the head pollster at Rasmussen. You can check him out over on X at Mark_R_Mitchell, and you know where to find Rasmussen Reports. You don't have to get any help from me because you're going to be refreshing your pages nonstop over now in the next 36 days because we all want to know what's going to happen. Before we let you go, Mark, really quick, because we're up against it for a break for ads. If you'd rather be Donald Trump today or Kamala Harris, where do you fall in this question in terms of where the current polling is?
I think she needs an act of God right now. Okay. And all we have to do is wait from now to Election Day to see if she gets one.
Perfect way to end the segment because I like that answer. Mark Mitchell, we really appreciate you joining us again here on the Matt Rooney Show. Appreciate it.
All right. Good time. All right.
Be well. Quick timeout. Back with more in a moment.
Feel like everything's clouded by doubt? Visit CaliforniaPsychics.com. Our psychics are available to talk 24/7, and we guarantee if it's not life-changing, it's free. Experience the joy of certainty. California Psychics.
Snakes, zombies, public speaking. The list of fears is endless. But the real danger is in your hand when you're behind the wheel. Distracted driving is what's really scary and even deadly. Eyes forward. Don't drive distracted. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Retirement can be scary, but only if you're not prepared. That's why AARP created thisispretirement.org. Because unless you've already retired, you're in pretirement, and you still have time to plan. Learn about retirement savings options, potential tax breaks, and how you can build savings over time. Visit thisispretirement.org for free resources to help you customize your action plan and feel the retirement fear disappear. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Attention! If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out heart-stopping letters, aggressively garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance, and you better watch out because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it seem impossible to ever get out of debt. Don't let the tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, the #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in the Fresh Start Initiative, one of the biggest breaks that the IRS has ever offered. If you qualify, you could save thousands. Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, they'll fight to get you the best deal possible. Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Hi, this is Dom Giordano with an easy question. How are your cholesterol levels? Managing healthy cholesterol is a key to a strong heart and overall wellness. For over 38 years, Rescue Natural Supplements has been a trusted ally in helping people reach their cholesterol goals. I've counted on Rescue for years, and with good reason. Their range of supplements designed to meet your specific needs, from omega-3s to red yeast rice and more. Take charge of your heart health today. Use the code DROP at checkout to double your order on any cholesterol product for free. Call today at 800-26-ALIVE, 800-262-5483. Speak to a knowledgeable product consultant or use the code online when you visit res-q.com, res-q.com. Remember to use the code DROP to buy one, get one free on Rescue Cholesterol products. Double up your cholesterol support today. Use the code DROP at res-q.com.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6481. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call
800-575-6481. That's 800-575-6481.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Philo's got a world of entertainment for you to explore with just one subscription. Sign up today and start watching all the networks you love, like A&E, MTV, Discovery, VH1, TLC, Lifetime, Hallmark Channel, and so much more. Featuring current seasons of all the best drama, true crime, reality, and family-friendly shows you can't afford to miss. And with up to 3 streams at once, you'll never have to fight about what to watch. Get started today and unlock our library of over 75,000 movies and shows, and save all your favorites with the unlimited DVR, so you can rewatch them anytime, anywhere, for up to a year. Philo now includes access to AMC+. You can discover your next obsession from its collection of hit originals like Mad Men, The Walking Dead, Killing Eve, Orphan Black, and tons of blockbuster movies. There are no contracts, no commitments, and no hassles. For just $28 a month, Philo's a better way to watch TV. So what are you waiting for? Visit philo.tv and sign up today to start your 7-day free trial. That's philo.tv.
Hey, Percy, we know your favorite station is Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. Remember to take us anywhere with the free Odyssey app.
And I just can't see that half of us immersed in sin is all we have to give these futures made of virtual insanity. Now always seem to be gathered about this love we have for you.
I love Mark Mitchell from Rasmussen. If for no other reason, he's that math teacher you had in school that actually makes sense and doesn't make you feel like an idiot. He really lays it all out there. And optimistic note at the end. He seems to think things are going the Trumpsters' way. It's been one of the themes of tonight's show. Plenty of evidence pointing in that direction. Although he did get one thing, I don't want to say wrong, but perhaps it's a reminder that, as Mark did admit at the end, there's no perfect question that can tell us how someone's going to vote. Apparently, producer Justin is a big Crocs fan. I haven't looked at your feet to see whether or not you're wearing them today. Oh, there you go.
I'm wearing black Air Forces today, but
okay.
When I'm at home, 9 times out of 10, I will be wearing Crocs.
You're rocking the Crocs.
Absolutely, without fail.
And not a leftist.
Last time I checked, no, I'm not.
They have a test for that now, like COVID. Something else as we wrap up the program tonight on the values front, just to show you how culture, as I talked about with Mark Mitchell from Rasmussen, it's becoming just such a giant indicator of how people vote and why they vote. You ever been to that website, Mother Jones? It's a far-left rag. It was a much bigger deal like 10 years ago when we were in the early days of online political journalism.
No,
yeah.
No reason to go to that website.
Yeah, well, you're not missing much. But Clara Jeffrey is the editor of Mother Jones for, I think, going on 2 decades now. And I caught this tweet And I think the tweet dates to, was it Thursday or maybe Friday? Doesn't really matter. Long story short, the editor of this far-left website was on an Alaska Air flight, and a flight attendant had the gall to wish the editor of Mother Jones a blessed night as they landed. This was apparently triggering for Ms. Jeffries, who reported on X that her roommate said, "This ain't Montgomery, sweetie." What kind of maladjusted loser is twisted and angry over someone saying, "Have a blessed night"? Right?
Someone who is terminally online and just looking for things to get mad at.
Looking for things to get mad about, absolutely. And just something is rotten at their core. But these people do exist. That's partially my point here. We are a country now. People love to talk about the Civil War, right? Like, oh, we're going to have another Civil War. It's worse than all that, really, because during the Civil War, there were obviously some very profound things that separated North and South, right? But, like, we don't even believe in the same God anymore. Do you appreciate that? Like whether you had somebody in the South or the North, right, together on a hypothetical airplane, even though they didn't exist back then, some steamboat, right? They both would have had somebody said to them, "God bless you." They would have said, "Thank you." Despite the profound differences between North and South in the 19th century. We don't even have that at the moment between Democrats and Republicans. I worry about where we're headed, and this is the number one reason why Kamala Harris and Tim Walz need to lose, because this divide that is eating our country out from the center is going to continue to get worse unless we defeat the left that is actively trying to deepen that divide to advance themselves, their politics, their narrative, their agenda. The only way forward and the only way to unify the country is to win. And that's what we got to do in 36 days. Pep talk included. I've heard worse. You probably could get better. But we're pretty proud of what we do here on the Matt Rooney Show. Thank you to everyone that listened the old-fashioned way. Thank you to all of you that watched and listened over on YouTube and gave us a like. Thank you to producer Justin. And thank you to everybody that makes the show possible. We will be back next week. God knows what will happen between now and then. I'm going to say bless you tonight before we leave, just in case anybody from Mother Jones is listening. And as ever, stay safe, stay sane, and continue to fight for this greatest nation in God's creation. It's worth it.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different.